Hello, listening people.
Hello.
You're listening to Spit and Polish presents Unappreciated Masterpieces. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Slawinski.
And I'm, I guess, the other host, Bartek.
You sure?
I could be a host, could be a butler, I don't know.
You're Bartler, because you're Bartek.
Not a bar technician.
No, that would be good too. Now, Bartek, on our show Unappreciated Masterpieces...
That's this one.
That is this one. We do have another show, which is the Mystery Box, but that's not this.
Is that the one with the Christopher Lloyd films?
No. We will do a show in which we just talk about Christopher Lloyd movies, but not yet. We're doing
yes.
Unappreciated Masterpieces. What do we do on that? For those who aren't in the know, you know, the ones that aren't a part of the club. You know, our special club for the fans. What do we do, though?
Are we part of that club?
No.
Right,
no. We're not our own fans. We're our own critics, though. So, there you go. So what do we do on this?
Well, Ryan, it's the show, it's named after the things that we talk about. The unappreciated masterpieces.
You sure?
I think so.
And what are those?
Those are the films that people have forgotten, or they have never known.
Or they didn't give enough love to? Maybe they were ahead of their time.
Yeah.
These are the kind of films that people wouldn't have in their top 10 lists, perhaps.
Unless they're
unless they're
not,
us.
Not that I think that, but the society would think they're really weird.
Okay, fair enough.
They're films like the one that we are doing today are films that need more love, need more appreciation. Hence we call them the unappreciated masterpieces.
Fair enough. And we are called Spit and Polish, of course, because we are always spitting, because we're humans and have saliva.
And as we know, that's the most underrated, or unappreciated bodily function.
Yeah, exactly. And we are both Polish.
Tuck.
I don't know what that means. I don't speak Polish.
Translation, yes.
Oh, okay. See, I am Polish, don't speak it. It's a very hard language, Bartek. And
Mr. Śliwiński does not speak Polish.
I don't even know how to say my own last name in Polish. I just use the Anglo-Saxon version. So, Bartek...
Plumwinski.
It does mean plum, apparently. That is a fact. So, Bartek, what is the movie we're going to be covering?
Ryan, I am happy to say that the movie we are doing today is Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh! No, don't know. What is it? I don't speak Polish. I think you're speaking Polish. Is that Polish?
Yeah.
For what?
For the film that we're doing today, Johnny Mnemonic.
Nope, you have to give it to me in English. I'm not going to get it this time round.
Even though we've already established you don't speak Polish, I keep making this mistake. What is this, episode 114?
More than that, but
maybe.
Go on.
Okay. The film we are doing, Ryan, is Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh, Johnny Mnemonic. I pronounce it with an M when there shouldn't be one.
Well, it starts with one, so it should be, right?
Yeah. So Johnny Mnemonic, the classic Keanu Reeves movie from what year?
1995? Was it?
I can't remember.
I think it's 1995.
We'll find out during the episode. But Bartek, we have some guests with us this episode. Not
Did
just
you say some.
We usually just have one guest. We usually only reserve the show for one special guest. You know, God decides who they are.
We've only ever had 2 or 3 people on at once, Ryan. So are you saying this is different?
And is this a crossover episode too?
What?
Are we doing a show with another podcast?
I think so.
Are you sure?
I mean, I wasn't sure about the title of the show. Can I be sure about this?
Yeah, you can be sure.
Okay, I am then.
So you want to introduce the crossover guests?
I can do that.
Go on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by 2 of the 4 hosts of the show San Dimas School of Film.
You almost got it.
Did I get it wrong?
Yeah, you got it right.
Oh, then why almost?
You didn't know what you're tripping over on San.
I couldn't remember if
Dimas
it was
there.
San or Saint.
No, it's San.
San.
So hello, Tim and Al.
The Saint Dimas.
We could be saints.
Yeah, we are saints.
Steady on.
Yeah.
Okay, calm down, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us, guys.
No problem. Of course, this is our first ever show where we have had the people that are podcasters.
Great debut.
We've had other people who have been on podcasts of friends, like Bartek used to be on a podcast with a friend, not just me. So what do you guys do on your one?
All right, I'll do this.
And which one are you? Just for the.
Oh, I'm Tim, by the way.
Hi, Tim.
Making me Al.
Yes.
Hi, Al.
So,
Hi, Ryan.
we review film, but we base all our reviews on. Well, we relate them back to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So,
and you've reviewed Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, yeah?
Oh yeah. Well,
No, we haven't.
no, we have, just not on the show. So,
Oh, okay, fair enough. Bogus Journey definitely done on the show, right?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Makes too much sense.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
So, we're obviously, all 4 of us are big fans of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So we rate against that. So Bill and Ted's is 100%, and we rate films based on whether we think it's better or worse. And
How many films are 100% on yours? Like,
we've
what
had a
other
couple.
films?
yeah,
we've had a couple.
I don't know. Blues Brothers came close.
Blues Brothers.
Uh,
Wayne's World?
did
Wayne's
well.
World
I
comes
imagine-
close.
yeah.
We've
Wayne's World 2, yeah?
we did them both together. So
Oh, well, that's fair enough.
And we've had plenty that have gone over 100% as well.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah, we've
Over
you know,
Bill and Ted, wow.
Well,
Pretty
It's
impressive.
weird. Like it all comes down. Like none of us prepare our ratings until.
Yeah,
Well,
same.
you do sometimes.
I do
Al.
a little
But
bit.
basically, sometimes you'll look back at your rating and go, yeah, nah. It's just kind of it's the feel of the moment more.
Same here.
Really, yeah.
Same
So-
here. You know, the film, for us, defines what our rating will
But
be.
it's a foolproof system.
Oh, yeah.
Flawless.
It is
Absolutely flawless.
Like
It's
a
a great
diamond?
system.
Wow, well, that's great. So, you guys, San Dimas School of Film.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, you cover pretty much everything. You just did Dead Poet Society, I'm pretty sure.
We did.
And Spice World before that.
Yeah.
Like I obviously I'm subscribed to you guys. It's always like a joy what one will be. It'll be something silly like Spice World. Then something like Dead Poet Society. You know, the one with like serious one with suicide.
We feel that same joy as well because
Oh,
we don't
good.
necessarily know what's coming up. We get listener requests in, which is how we came to watching Spice World.
Oh, fair enough.
and
then,
Adam Sandler as well. Like we wouldn't usually.
We've only done one Adam Sandler on this
Yeah.
show, and that
It's
was
probably
Bedtime
It's
Stories.
probably enough.
His best film.
I reckon ours was worse. We did Zohan.
Oh
Yes.
wow, we loved Bedtime Stories. It had Russell Brand in
Well,
it.
we
I
love-
mean, what else can you
Ah.
ask for?
Well, everything we do on this show is the greatest film ever made, so...
Yeah, same. I agree, 100%. So we're going to be doing Johnny.
You don't have to agree with me, Ryan. I've said the facts.
Okay, maybe maybe I want to be contrarian to you. So we are going to do Johnny Mnemonic now, right? We're going to I'm going to tell the audience what they have to do because you guys have to do some legwork. You know, we're not one of those podcasts that just talks to you. We're going to make
Ryan.
you do some legwork as well.
Are you the host of the show? They're not audience, they're listening people.
Oh, listening people. Sorry, I've screwed up there, Bartek. So, you listening people at home, you're going to have a copy of the film because I imagine you all have a copy of the film. I mean, we all do, don't we? Isn't it in everyone's collections? You know, it's. I'm pretty sure it's archived in where they put all those great films.
Well, it's an unappreciated masterpiece, but so maybe if you dig deep, you'll find it.
You'll find it. So get your copy ready because I'm going to do a countdown from 3 and I'm going to go down to 1 and say play, and you're going to press play when I say play. So hopefully you're lined up with us when we are watching the film as we talk about the greatness of Keanu Reeves and co. You know, there's many people in this movie. So get ready because we're going to start this in 3, 2, 1, play. So
Was that enough time for people to get their VHS machines out of the attic?
Oh
Let's
yeah.
see,
So we are 7 seconds in, 8
Probably
seconds in,
hasn't
just for you
rewound.
guys.
Yeah,
No,
it's
no, I'm
yeah.
still rewinding, Ryan. Wait.
You think that they have a clean copy as well? They have to clean
Now they got to
it.
clean the heads.
It's got dirty heads. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Ah.
And they've accidentally recorded something in the middle part of it as well.
Ah.
Like they accidentally recorded over like the great section in which you get like Ice-T telling them how it is because Ice-T's in this movie. in case we wanted to skip over that. So here we are with the Blade Runner-like beginning in which they're telling you the great story of this world. Look, the
There's-
InfoWars happened.
There's a lot of information here.
It's too much, isn't it?
It's enough though because look, we got the InfoWars, so we know where Alex Jones got inspired. In this universe, which I do believe takes place in
21.
21.
Brains of
That's right, yeah.
Intruders.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
City like there's a.
This is very episode 1 Star Wars type trade negotiation type
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Well,
It's too much.
it's very
Oh, hang on,
Blade
it's
Runner.
still going. It's still going.
It's very. Don't forget,
The most
Blade Runner
valuable
used to do
information.
this too.
When I started watching the film, I had food in front of me, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to eat while watching this. But the text appeared, and I'm like, okay, I have to wait for the text to... so
I
can
was
read it
that
all.
idiot that was having a hard time reading it because it's like this light
That's a
shooting
lot
at
of-
you.
it's a lot
So,
of
in
words.
case you didn't get the full gist of it, it's the future. People are suffering from a very,
It's still
very...
the future for us in the present
Oh yeah,
day,
yeah, we're still not up to the Johnny timeline.
We're 3 years away.
I can't wait.
In the future, people are suffering from a terrible disease. The NAS.
Yeah, basically over-reliance on technology makes
Well,
the syndrome for you or something.
We don't know that necessarily because in this film they don't know what happens when that occurs. Henry Rollins just speculates at one point, you get this disease because technology, man, it's everywhere. Even I use it because I'm a doctor. I rely on technology. And it's like, you
great
don't
impression, by the
say.
way.
I know Henry
Yeah,
very
yeah,
well.
That's pretty spot on.
Yeah, that was good.
I nailed that. I could be the singer of Black Flag if I really wanted to, but I'm too busy podcasting, just like Henry is nowadays.
I think we need to keep in mind as well, this is like directly after he did Speed.
Well, that's something I
Keanu.
wanted to talk about. You guys, obviously, Bill and Ted is the best Keanu movie for you guys.
Ooh, yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
I reckon.
Yep.
Now,
Like the duology or just the first, second, or what?
It's like an onion. There's so many
Layers.
Yeah.
of Keanu that there's no one ultimate version.
well, that's the thing. I 100% agree. My favorite Keanu is also Bill and Ted Keanu because it is the one that he doesn't have to
Appropriate
do
response.
much acting for.
Well, yeah,
he is Ted.
It seems the most Keanu.
Exactly. So that's him in a nutshell. But in this movie, you said it's after Speed. This is this interesting period of time in which they're still trying to figure out how to market Keanu Reeves because he did Bill and Ted, and it's like, oh, comedy, and that's kind of what I would say. That's one of the first things that kind of launched him, right?
Yeah.
And then you get stuff like
Well, then we had Point Break.
Point Break and Bram Stoker's Dracula somewhere in there, I'm pretty sure, and Speed and this, and then eventually The Matrix. And then once The Matrix happens, that defines him, like, he's that guy who does sci-fi kung fu action. And every now and then they'll try and throw him into a romance movie, and it's like, why would you do this? And now he's this action man because he's John Wick now.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm John Wick. But this is during this interesting time where they were chucking him
Yeah,
on
just
anything.
sort of throwing him at everything.
Throw
and-
him anywhere
yeah,
you
yeah.
want. Now,
Because I always got this confused with Chain Reaction.
okay, I haven't seen Chain Reaction.
Which I think has Morgan Freeman in it.
Of course it does.
And it's, like, I
I don't
can't...
think I've seen that. He has long hair in that, doesn't he?
Sure, I
Already
don't know.
knows.
I don't know. But I always remember getting these two. I'm like, is that the one with... Yeah, anyway.
I don't even know Chain Reaction. I'm not the aficionado of Keanu's life. I'm that one asshole that doesn't like The Matrix. Yeah, I'm that one guy who's like, I hate Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, which makes me...
Well, look, it's been great.
Yeah,
thanks
that's
for
it.
having
Yeah,
us.
well, look at the time.
Look at the time. No, I'm that
First crossover success.
Hey, I like him in Bill and Ted. No, I'm that one guy.
Oh, we're back.
I'm that one guy who doesn't like him in The Matrix. I'm like, we cast someone who I believe could be a guy who works in an office? It's just like, that's the one thing. It's like, the one thing that I never get over in The Matrix is you have to believe him as this normal guy who works in an office and likes computers. Like, Keanu Reeves? Are you sure? Like,
to be fair, he's not normal for very long.
no, but it does hinge on that for quite some time. To be like, oh, it's not, the situation's not normal for this average guy. I'm like, this guy's not freaking Jason Bateman. This guy's like, this guy is, Point Break.
Yeah.
So, Bartek, we have to talk about the big dolphin in the room, which is our history with the film that we are currently talking about. Do we have any history with this film? Any of us? Have any of us seen this movie before having to do it on the show?
Nope.
I had seen it, like, I don't know, forever ago.
Yeah.
Like, probably not long after it came out.
Oh, yeah? You didn't want to go see it in the cinema?
See, this is where I was getting confused, because I think I saw Chain Reaction in the cinema, but not this.
I think Chain Reaction was 97, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
What
Maybe.
a
I think
tragedy.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Bartek, you saw it in the cinema? When you were, what, like 4?
An infant, yeah.
And couldn't speak English yet?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have been
You would
able
have
to.
loved this movie. Because Keanu's one of those actors who, it doesn't matter the language you speak, you understand what he's saying.
Yeah, I will give him this. He speaks very clearly in this film.
He's a universal language in himself.
I have a history with this movie, a complicated history. Oh, that's right, it's complicated. My parents, I've talked about this on the show lots of times, my parents, when
this
DVDs came to be, they had a huge VHS collection, but when DVDs came, they just smacked on that immediately, and they got everything. It's like, oh, I know that actor. I'll get this movie with them in it. Oh, I know this director. I'll get that. I like sci-fi. I'll get this.
There we go. Plug it in.
Plug it in. His brain can fit originally 80 gigabytes, and then he upgrades it to 160 gigabytes.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of brain space. But my history is my parents bought this on DVD, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is like, Keanu before the Matrix. Yeah. And I'm like, I probably saw this when I was like 10 or 11. And my parents like, it's got all this cool stuff about the internet, and he has the Yakuza in it with like laser fingers, and like, great. And I watched it and I hated it. I hated this movie. And I really hated Keanu Reeves in this movie, because Keanu has the unfortunate role of trying to be Harrison Ford in this movie, which is
It's got a very hard like Blade
being
Runner vibe.
Look at
unlikable,
him.
but you like him.
That suit doesn't fit either.
No, it's not supposed to, though.
Although it's very 90s, like suits were always too big.
And also, you got to consider that in this world, I think they're trying to hint at that that Japan and China are very influential in this world. So he has more of an Asian.
They're the tech giants. You said?
Yeah, they have. Hence, he's in Beijing right now. He has like the more Asian style collar, and like the suits more kind of Asian looking and inspired than what he would wear if he was just like, FBI man or whatever. So it's like,
And some of the people he talks to are Asian styled, as in they're from Asia.
yeah, thanks, Bartek. I didn't notice that.
Well, you got to pay attention.
I hated this movie growing up. I watched it continuously because it was one of those ones where it's like, it puzzled me, because I was like, maybe I'm too young to understand the full concepts of what's going on in Johnny. Like, when
Was
you
it just the premise that interests you, do you think? Like the overall...
I like sci-fi.
Yeah.
I liked Laser Thumb Guy. I like Henry Rollins. That was probably the main reason. If you give me a movie with a musician that I like in it, I will watch it. Like, I grew up watching the film Snow Day, which has Iggy Pop in it for no apparent reason, and we've covered it on the show, and it's great. And I watch this continuously because I love Henry Rollins. I grew up on Black Flag and Rollins Band in particular, and I watched this continuously because I was like, I like him in it. As a kid, I didn't understand why they cast him as a nerd,
Scientist, yeah.
as a nerdy scientist. But I believe it now because he's a really smart guy. And I don't want to name drop guys, but I've met Henry Rollins. I did. When he came down to Australia a year or two ago for a spoken word thing, I met him afterwards, and the first thing I asked him about was this movie.
Oh, nice.
Like, he was walking around signing things on. I said, "Oh, sorry, Henry. I only had a CD for him to sign. I would have brought my copy of Johnny Mnemonic, but I didn't bring. I just couldn't find it." And all he had to say about the movie was, "It was a fun shoot, man, except for that Dolph Lundgren guy." And he just ripped into Dolph Lundgren for a solid 20 minutes at me. Like other people were standing outside in the cold, and he's just like, originally he was like, "I've only got a few moments to talk to you," and blah, blah, and then he just ripped into Dolph Lundgren for 20 minutes. He's like, "That guy's a genius. He's actually really smart. He's got PhDs. He's a physicist. Like, he's actually really intelligent. But he was grumpy, man. He didn't want to be there. He was really annoyed, which made me annoyed." And I'm like,
You don't want to annoy Henry Rollins.
Can you
imagine-
just talk like Henry Rollins for the rest of
"Hey,
the
guys,
episode?
hey guys, it's me, Henry."
Sounds like your impression of a lot of people.
I do very generic impressions of people. So yeah, Henry told me that Dolph Lundgren was very, very grumpy, and maybe he was method acting, because in this movie he plays a Jesus freak who likes to kill people,
Well,
Jesus themed.
He's literally called Street Preacher, right?
That's all his name is.
Yeah.
And he has such great lines as, "It's Jesus time," which is the greatest kind of one-liner before you stab someone. "It's Jesus time," and stab him with your knife that's shaped like a crucifix.
Oh, of course. Or at least a sharpened crucifix.
Now, Bartek, you hadn't seen this before.
No.
What did you expect was going to happen from this movie? When I said, "Hey, we're going to be doing this great Keanu Reeves movie," what did you think was going to happen?
Well, I had heard of the film.
Oh, good.
In the sense that, like a decade ago, I was watching some guy on YouTube who was reviewing the full motion video game of Johnny Mnemonic.
Okay.
And from what I remembered of that, there was plugging your brain into machines. So that was what I was expecting, and I did get that.
Oh, good.
But in terms of the actual plot, no. It took me the opening crawl of, data couriers to, plug in information in your brain, carry that around. So that gave me a lot of information. But before that, just plugging your head into machines was all I knew.
And
Keanu Reeves.
And Keanu, who you're a fan of, yes?
Yeah, I love Bill and Ted.
Is that it for you? Is that where the Keanu
Yes.
ends for you?
Correct response.
No, I've seen him in. I think I love Speed. That's the episode of your show that I've listened to. Speed.
Nice. Yeah,
Speed 2, though? Big fan?
I haven't
He's
seen
not in it, so
Willem Dafoe's in it, which is a good enough.
Is it though? Oh.
He's the villain, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No, they replaced him with some loser. In that one, like, Keanu didn't want to come back for Speed 2, and he was like, the director was like, fine then, I'll get some other guy.
Mm.
In all seriousness,
went
though, in my transition from like primary school to high school, I think in that period, the two films that I'd seen more than any other still at this point would be like Dude, Where's My Car and Bogus Journey, because my stepbrother would just play them all the time.
That's a question. Do you like the first or second Bill and Ted, or more? Like, which one do you like more? Are they equal? Because
it's like asking you to pick your favorite child. Like,
Well, look, I'd probably pick the first one.
Okay.
I probably would too.
Only
But
be-
there's so much great stuff in the second.
There
one.
is,
I'm
yeah.
the fan of the second one more. Every time. If
Yeah.
you're like, which one are you going to watch, Ryan? Oh, second one, it's got death in
It's
it.
big
It's
because
got-
they die and conquer the afterlife.
It's
Like,
one of the most
huge.
surreal steps you could take for a goofy comedy. Like, the first one's pretty surreal in itself with, like, time travel and all this stuff, where they get all these historical figures. You got Napoleon being goofy and shit, but it's
Yeah.
like, the second one is like, oh, they die. Like,
Yeah.
we murder
We
them,
murder them.
and,
Yeah.
and replace them with robot versions of themselves who are assholes.
Yeah.
Oh, and who would have guessed that Death would be the best character in
Yeah.
any comedy movie ever?
We've got to
See
get
the-
back to the world of the living by beating death at Twister.
I said
and
plum.
Battleship.
I said, but yes. You know what? You said mustard.
I love William. That's the one movie I really love William Sadler in as well. Like, everyone loves
Yeah.
him in Die Hard too. I'm like, nah,
Nah,
it's Bill
he's
and
great
Ted
in that,
too, man.
yeah.
The fact
Yeah.
he was so good at that he took that character of Death and redid it in other things like Tales from the Crypt and
That's
stuff. He
right,
would do it like
yeah.
he did it a million times over and over again. I'm like, man, he could have just retired. Like, look, sometimes when you're a performer, Bartek and I are actors. I'd love to have a role like that and then just retire. Like, well, I've done it. There's no
This is
need.
it. I've
This is
conquered
like,
this medium.
no one's going to be a better. Have we had a better Death since then? Character of Death other than the guy from Horrible Histories? The kid
Family
shit?
Guy Ryan.
Oh. You know what?
Very good point, Bartek.
That's a good answer. I'll give you that one. So, no, Bartek, Keanu, 1 or 2, Bill and Ted, your favorite?
I'm probably Bogus Journey. I've seen more, but I've always liked the duology.
It does have aliens in Bogus Journey. They are aliens, right?
Yeah, aren't they like the
don't
smartest
really
entity or something?
Specify, which is kind of like
They're
I think-
Muppets, for sure.
Well, it's what makes the film so successful, certainly for us, is that they just sort of brush over stuff without missing. What am I trying to say, Tim? Like, they don't specify they're aliens, for example,
They don't spoon.
but that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
They're just these two
It's like
monstery things.
Yeah, we're not human. Don't ask questions. It's fine.
It's fine.
Don't ask me questions.
yeah.
I'm not a human. I don't
Just
speak
trust
English.
us. It's fine. But I think the first one is just it's the innocence of it. I think. 'Cause
Purity.
they're just kids, like they're
And
kids,
then
and
the
they don't
second
know
one,
what they're doing.
and the second one, they die.
but they're trying to make friends with everyone. Like that's just all they're doing, and they just want to pass so they can stay friends.
It's
know?
been
like,
a very long time since I've watched either of them. Which one's the one where they have the hot teacher and she unzips herself and she's just George Carlin?
Yeah, that's the second one. Miss Woodrow. That's Pam Grier.
And
Is it?
Yeah.
and the second one, is that
Yeah.
the one also where to become the best guitar players, they learn from themselves from the future?
They go.
Isn't it?
They just disappear on stage.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they
go
come back
spend,
old,
like,
right?
8
Oh,
months
they
or
come
something.
back
And they have
old
kids.
and beards and whatever. Oh, yeah.
they come back looking like ZZ Top a bit.
That's we all want to look like ZZ Top.
Mm.
So Bartek, Tim, this film came out during I want to call it the adolescence of Keanu, because he's still growing into his own.
Mm.
And look, this is. Would you say this is one of the first?
Was that him?
That was him
Yeah.
in a disguise.
What a
He
disguise.
yellow faced up and everything.
Oh, Jesus.
No, it's true.
Oh.
It's true. Now, do we think that this is the beginning of Keanu's infatuation with Asian culture in cinema? Because he goes on later to do, like, The Matrix has it with, like, the Kung Fu stuff, and then he does 47 Ronin, and he comes back again and again to this Asian aesthetic, and this is one of the first ones I can think of where it's actually a part of the movie.
There was a movie where he played was like Little Buddha or something.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that?
No.
It's weird.
Is he a kid?
He's younger. I reckon it was 80s. I'll look it up, but yeah,
Little
it's
Buddha.
I think it's called Little Buddha.
Does he kung fu fight in it?
No, I don't think so. I've only seen bits of it because it was pretty cringy, to be honest.
What? No, it's Keanu. How could you say that?
Exactly.
Could be an unappreciated masterpiece, Ryan.
Little Buddha? I really hope it's that. That's what it's called. So, yeah, this is I personally think this is one of the beginning points of that in cinema. I like his cinematic stuff of incorporating Asiatic aesthetics and cultural stuff into his movies, because he does continue to do this. And it's not just like he teams up with the Wachowskis, who are all into kung fu and anime and all of that. He does it again with 47 Ronin, and obviously, you know, he keeps revisiting this, and I wonder if Johnny is the first step towards that for him.
93 was Little Buddha, so
He's an adult.
It's literally called Little Buddha.
Okay, Little Buddha's the beginning.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
Maybe-
beautiful long hair.
You know what? I'm wrong. It's Bill and Ted, because Genghis Khan's there, and he really liked teaming up with him for some wacky journeys, so wacky adventures. So, I've hated this film for a very long time, and I wanted to do it on the show because I keep revisiting this movie, being like, maybe when I'm older, I'll enjoy this. Have we ever had films like that? Where you're like, maybe I need to stew on this, mature on this?
I don't think so.
There are definitely things I've watched later and gone, oh, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
Or, like, I feel like the last time we watched Wayne's World, there was a lot of stuff in there where, like, wow, that was it Wayne's World? Something we did.
Probably Wayne's World.
What, that you liked more as an adult?
Well,
or
we
less?
just sort of picked up a lot more as an adult. You're like, that's a pretty full-on joke for essentially a kid's movie.
You can say it. Ed O'Neill is fucking crazy in Wayne's
Well, I mean, there's a lot
World.
of stuff. There's a bit of stuff in Bill and Ted as well that's like pretty like it's those tiny jokes in there, like the minor Oedipal complex that just flow over your head when you're a kid, but then you're like, oh, that's really funny.
Or when Napoleon's showing them the battle, and they're like, I don't think it's going to work, and that was actually the failed battle. Like that he's showing them the stuff. Like, you don't notice that as a kid. You're just like, oh, well, you just go, oh, yeah, they're just giving him a bit of shit, and then...
Fair enough. Bartek, yourself, are there any of those kind of films, like for me with Johnny, where you have to revisit them time and time again to actually like them?
Oh, yeah. When I grew up, I finally knew what a condom was, so the reference in Greece made sense.
Oh! I didn't expect that. I think Blade Runner is one of those ones for me, classic. I mean, this obviously is inspired a lot by Blade Runner. A lot of sci-fi films were inspired by Blade Runner. I hated Blade Runner when I first saw it. I detested it. I didn't like it. I saw the director's cut, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And as I
should hang out with Brad. Brad doesn't like it.
And I've watched it time and time again. It's one of those ones like, I don't like it, but I admire it. It's like one of those ones that's like, it's a fancy painting. I'm not going to buy it, but I don't mind it. And then I saw the second one, and I like that one. I'm like, I actually like this.
I've had a lot of things where I've watched sort of landmark films, like Blade Runner was one, Godfather was another one, where I saw it the first time, and I'm like, I don't really get it, but cool, all right. And then I gave it another go. I did it to both of them. I gave it another go, and something happened that second time, and I'm like, that was amazing. Like, just it worked for me, and so I've had a lot of those.
I was like that with Terminator 1. I was like, it's all right, and then I've watched it more. I'm like, it's really good, because I always like Terminator 2 more.
That's fair enough.
I'm that guy. Bartek, we've got to really address our female character in this movie.
She's not wearing a dress.
She's wearing just chainmail with no bra underneath. So, you know, we've been on sets for films or TV shows. Mm-hmm. They're not very quick. They take a lot of time. She does a lot of running and jumping and action. And she's not wearing a bra, but she's wearing chainmail. Do you think that would have been a comfortable costume to wear for the entire 18-hour shoot for each day? Because I don't.
I don't know about 18 hours, but
this is a Hollywood film. They take that long.
This isn't Neighbours territory. Right?
I feel like in the 90s, though, whenever they're looking at the future, it never looks comfortable. Like,
No.
Like, The Fifth Element didn't look comfortable.
It looked great, though.
It did.
80 gigs are
So
clearly
beautiful.
uncomfortable.
The Fifth Element's one of those ones that I want to live in that future.
Yeah.
In which they have all the hover cars and bullshit, and also, Bruce Willis as a blonde. I haven't seen him blonde since Death Becomes Her.
Oh, was he blonde? He wasn't blonde.
He was.
Yeah, he was.
And he wore glasses, so
he
you thought he was a
definitely
nerd,
wore glasses, yeah.
just like Henry Rollins in this. So,
Are you going to blow us away with your opinion on the chainmail, Ryan?
okay, yeah, I'm going to blow you away on the chainmail.
Is it heavy?
Oh, well, no, it's a light chainmail,
It'll
but
be
it
a
would
light one.
it would rub the nips quite vigorously because you do see her nips in a lot of shots. Like, not like, oh, there they are. It's like, you can just see them through the chainmail, but it's not like, oh my god,
Actually,
here we go.
that's a question. Is it actually chainmail that she's wearing? Because wouldn't there be a lot of like clinking on microphones and stuff like that?
Did you notice when watching that this is one of these movies that 98% of it is ADR?
I guess. Yeah.
A lot of this movie is
it's
Keanu
wild.
coming back to the sound room and being like, "All right, guys, what do you want me to do?"
Yeah.
That was my Keanu. It was pretty good.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't
I don't want to
wasn't
brag.
It's no Henry Rollins.
It's no
but,
Ice-T in this movie. It's fucking great. I just want to say this is my favorite scene in the movie. Because this is a scene in which he has to find someone to help him with the chip in his brain. And his boss, Ralphie, links him to this guy who is a black cowboy. There's no easy way to go about it. This guy in the future dresses like a cowboy, and he's a black man, and it's like, there's no explanation for this. No one else in this universe dresses up like
like a cowboy.
cowboys. He's not part of the low-techs, which I think I related to Bartek, but the low-techs, the
I'm a
underground...
high-tech.
The underground fighter group. This is just a guy who works for the evil corporation, and he dresses like a cowboy. And also, Keanu Reeves' best line delivery, which is, "You lied." He says it in a very playful way, which is kind of weird because it feels like he would be saying it to his girlfriend, like, "Oh, you lied." It's like, this is one of the greatest moments in the film. Just black cowboys there. You got Baldy, who you think's going to be a recurring villain, but then he hits him over the head with a plank of wood, and you never see
done.
him again. In fact, when I watched it in my notes, I wrote down, "Oh, where's Baldy?" And I kept writing that every 15 minutes or so, because for the first, how are we, 30 minutes of this movie, Baldy keeps being the bad guy that he keeps running into, and he's like, "Oh, Baldy!" In that Keanu Reeves fashion, where it's like, oh, it's a lovable insult, like, "Oh, Baldy."
Yeah.
And then he just hits him over the head with a plank of wood. Kind of like in movies, it's kind of hard to tell what kills a person,
Yeah,
unless you explicitly show it, crack his head, or there's a nail in it or something. But it's in normal movies, a hit on the head with a piece of wood is not like a death blow.
Plus, in movies, people get knocked out for a really long time.
Yeah, this guy was...
How long's it been? Oh, it's been 3 days. You know what I mean?
And really easily too.
Yeah, super easily.
I mean, I've heard. I mean, I
His doctor is Henry Rollins as well. When he wakes up, he's like, "Dude, you've been knocked out for 3 days." He's like, "No, please."
Please put me back to sleep.
No, but it's like, you're a fan of Blackadder Season 2.
Yeah, well, all 4 seasons, yeah.
But specifically, Season 2 is a great one. You like Season 1 more.
Yeah.
But I want to raise
season one. Yeah,
Season...
there aren't many of you people out there.
I know, I'm not
It's-
one of them either.
Listen to you people.
You people, yeah.
The first season's very charming.
You
It's
low-techs!
just very, very different.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
It's Mr. Bean in the period piece more so.
I like
Season
the
1.
setting a lot.
Yes, you gotta love his dad, Brian Blessed.
Blessed.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. And the final episode, I
But
think, is really funny.
Season 2 Blackadder, we mentioned this on our last episode, Johnny English Reborn, which had Rowan Atkinson. This film, unfortunately, does not have Rowan Atkinson. A very
It
major...
does have Johnny in the title, though.
It does
3 in a
have
row.
Johnny, 3 Johnnies in a row, and we did John Tucker recently. So we're on a Johnny roll.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, in Season 2 of Blackadder, most characters have an affectionate name that end with E. Melchi, Queenie, Nursey, Percy. Sometimes people call him Blackie. So in this movie, we have a very similar thing going on, where you have Johnny, Ralphie, Baldy, Takeshi. Like I had him on my list too. And there's like one or two other ones that have an E name. I'm pretty sure
Street Preachery.
No, there's the bartender guy who has a robot hand. He has an E name. Why do you think this movie relies so much on those E names?
Maybe because it's got this kind of, I guess, hacker film vibe, you know, technology, the future. There's a kind of like cool factor, and it's more like casual naming scheme.
Okay, yeah,
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, fair enough. I thought it might be because the audience that will watch this,
just like Blackadder 2.
Yeah, I thought it might be that the audience who will watch this will be more primarily an Asian audience, and maybe they'll just like the easier E names instead of someone like Lucifer over here or whatever.
Well, I think Takeshi is played by a guy named like Takahashi or something.
Yeah, he has just a slight variant on his own
Shinji,
name. Yeah. Do we know the actor who plays Ralphie?
He was, what's his name? He's in Judge Dredd.
He is in Judge Dredd.
He's one of the
judges, I think.
Yeah, one of the high council or something.
Yeah. I don't think he's like the big head one that takes the walk.
I don't know.
He's I can't remember how you pronounce it. It's like Udo Carey or something.
He had a really short name. That's all I remember.
Udo Carey, and he was in that recent movie Iron Sky, the one that theorized if Nazis were on the moon. He was the Führer of the moon.
I've been meaning to watch that.
He was the Führer of the moon.
I forgot that existed.
If you like computer games, he also did a lot of acting in computer game stuff, like Command and Conquer, Red Alert.
Oh, really? Oh,
2, he played the evil mind control guy, Yuri, because if you need someone who says, I do mind control, you get him, because he's one of these guys whose English is not their first language, and Christoph Waltz is one of those guys where English is not his first language, and they come across menacing because they have to articulate every word, but he does it differently because he whispers every word. In this movie, Ralphie is constantly like...
So the antithesis to Keanu Reeves.
Keanu, man, calm down. And it's like... Are you okay, Ralphie? Who are you hiding from? Who are you whispering this? Why do you have to whisper? Every scene he's in is a quiet whisper, which is intense. Because you have those villains that just quietly whisper, like a very quiet, menacing, Mark Strong plays those villains all the time, and all those characters in everything he does ever. And when he loses his temper, it's insane. In this movie, he doesn't get to lose his temper because he gets whipped in half with a laser whip, which is disappointing. Ralphie doesn't get to live too long, which is a bummer, because if they made more Johnny Mnemonics, I would have liked an expanded Ralphie story in which he kind of redeems himself. I would have loved that.
Surely, given the very far distant future of
2021,
they'd have the technology to put Ralphie back together.
Yeah. It'll be like, have you guys seen the movie Tank Girl?
Yes, I was going to talk about Tank Girl, because that was the same year.
Ice-T.
And Ice-T's in that as well.
Ice-T's a kangaroo man in that, yeah.
And I find Tank Girl far superior to this.
Laurie Petty is one of those actresses where it just says, this is the role made for you.
Yeah. But that film was set in 2007, right?
I can't remember what year it's set in, but it's one of those ones where Malcolm McDowell gets...
maybe?
Malcolm McDowell gets his arm ripped off and his head ripped off, and they get a Chinese doctor guy who's played by that... I'm pretty sure he's played by that one Asian actor that's like in everything as just the old Asian master guy that isn't Mr. Miyagi.
He's,
the bad guy
Genghis
from...
Khan.
Is he?
Yep.
Okay,
different guy. He's like a stunt. He's like a
different guy. I was thinking of the one from
Al Young. I think he's.
Okay, I was thinking of the guy from Big Trouble in Little China, the main villain.
Oh yeah.
He's always in everything too. But it's like they replace his head with a hologram. Malcolm McDowell has a hologram head and a robot arm, and he's invincible because you can't kill him because he's got a hologram head. I would love Ralphie to come back with a hologram, head. And they adjust his volume setting like to a whisper, to a staticky whisper. Like you can barely hear it. It's just mainly radio static coming through on this. Now, Bartek, you're a big film aficionado. We all are.
Oh, tell us more.
You obviously...
I can almost spell the word too.
Ooh. You read the trivia on this, I imagine.
Yes, I think IMDb had like 31 points. It's a lot.
This is one of the films in which I want the documentary behind how it got made. Like I want to hear Henry's story. I want to hear Keanu's story about how he got the script at his front door.
Yeah.
That's probably the best trivia fact I've ever read.
I like that it's specified as a tactic to intrigue him.
And it did. The idea that it's a rumor, though. It's rumored that Keanu Reeves found the script on his door and it piqued his interest. It's like... It just adds to that mystique of what we all think of Keanu.
Yeah.
He seems like the world's nicest guy, but that also makes him the dumbest guy as well, because he's got that really dopey voice. But he seems like the really smart, really kind guy, but he's just like one of these guys that's like, if there was a laser dot on the wall, he would kind of pour at it. That's how I think of Keanu.
Yeah. Actually, before I came here, I was listening to an interview that someone had with him.
About this?
Not about this, no, it was a more recent thing. Like, they were talking about, like, the sad Keanu meme and things like that.
Oh,
recent.
Yeah.
And he spoke pretty quietly in that, too. Very kind of laissez-faire. They asked him questions like, yeah, you know, it was really funny.
He's like that, isn't he?
Modest.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. Like, he's just, you know, he does... Because we'll go to your hated film, Ron, The Matrix. And
The Matrix.
I think
sad stories behind that.
Well, there's a very blandness to Keanu in that.
Yeah.
And I think it almost feels like it's kind of permeating here.
Oh no! In this movie, he's off the chain.
Yeah, but he's got it's that demeanor though. Like it's like a bland demeanor. Even it's kind of like that in John Wick, I reckon.
Stoic.
In John Wick, he doesn't have dialogue. I think Keanu's a great entertainer, actor. I've always been shaky on because you hear that voice, and it
seems to be from doing quite little though.
But I think they've used that
on
trait
purpose
or quality in John Wick to be like, all right, let's
he's a
take
visual
this saying nothing.
In John Wick, he's a visual storytelling element. Like if you heard John Wick talk more, you just wouldn't believe that this is a guy who's that esteemed. But when he has to, because basically when John Wick talks, it's when he has one or two words, and you're like, oh, that's smart. Or he has a whole monologue where he's shouting at the top of his lungs, and you're like, that's intimidating, because Keanu doesn't usually shout.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think they've played on that heaps and turned that because of the John Wick franchise is so steeped in world building and backstory that you don't need it works better when the character doesn't say anything, and so really it's a super piece of casting.
He's basically, you know, one of those characters in which people talk at him and you're watching how he reacts or doesn't react to how people interact with him. Like, you have Lance Reddick talking to him about, like, this is how it all works and I'll look after your dog. And he's just like, okay, can I go now? I just want to kill people. I want a car. I'm Keanu. So, Keanu's one of those interesting figures because he also seems like a sad he has had some sad stuff, like the sad Keanu meme. I remember he reacted to that pretty stoically. He's like, yeah, man, I can get sad. Like, I don't know why people are fascinated by this. Like,
well, in that interview I was talking about, he was like, yeah, it was funny and gave people something to be creative with. Or something.
Yeah, but he's like, him and Ben Affleck are both the same when it comes to people reacting to their sad things. It's like, I'm glad people got fun out of it, but it's kind of like, things are sad sometimes. Even though I'm a big Hollywood actor, things are sad. I mean, wasn't it his fiance?
That Ben Affleck one is so spectacular,
isn't it? Oh.
I feel really sorry for Ben Affleck because in the Batman v Superman, him and Jeremy Irons are the best parts of that for me at least. And you got to feel really sad for him because he gained all of this muscle for Batman. He really loves Batman, and he's proving that he can do comic book movies because he had Daredevil before, which really sunk his career for a very long time. He had a movie that he directed that no one saw or nobody liked, all at the same time while getting divorced.
Yeah.
It's like, can you imagine being him?
What's going on for the guy?
And people are just like, hey, you know Batman v Superman, the one you've been working on for years, fucking sucked.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, but you were the good part in it. Well, fucking thank you, I guess. Like, whoop-de-doo at this point. There's like these jokes of Keanu Reeves drinking a Corona and like putting his hands over his face. Like, oh, Keanu's having an existential crisis over a Corona. What's going on, Keanu?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Keanu Reeves as a time traveler.
Oh, you mean...
Oh,
Or he's immortal?
He's immortal. He's a vampire.
Yeah.
People think he's a vampire because he does not age.
Yeah,
or he barely ages.
I enjoy that theory a lot.
People used to have that with Johnny Depp, and then Johnny Depp miraculously aged
Got-
overnight.
old.
He just got old.
You know,
Like
he
he
hit
saw
his,
his painting.
you know, he allegedly hit his wife and got old. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it happens.
You know what? You were saying before his fascination with the Asian culture. They often say that as like a stereotype. Like an Asian person looks young, then one day suddenly they age a bunch. Maybe that's related to it.
I don't think Keanu's going to age. I think he'll be one of those guys that one day you just will be like, whatever happened to Keanu? And you look back and he's not there anymore. Like where did he go? And he's like, there he is up there at the mountains. He's walked away.
He's a hermit.
He's like Robert Smith in that episode
Yeah.
of South Park where they call Robert Smith from The Cure to help them defeat Barbra Streisand, and then he walks away up the mountains. That's
I could see Keanu doing a bit of a Luke Skywalker hermit style.
Oh.
Just move to an isolated island and
He's-
never talk to anyone else ever
he's
again.
definitely.
Drinking insane green milk.
Yeah, yeah.
How has he not
Best
been
scene of the
cast?
movie.
How has he not been cast in the Star Wars yet?
I'm glad he hasn't.
Why?
I don't know. Well, let's not get too much into Star Wars, but
No offense.
I'm starting. No, I am. I really am. I'm just getting over it a bit now.
It's
It's just too much.
You,
It's too much coming out. Like I only.
the peak was Revenge of the Sith for you, and then
No.
went
No.
down, did it?
But I just like I only like Solo came out and I had no idea, and it was on Saturday, and someone was like, "Oh, you seen Solo?" I'm like, "I didn't even know it was out." Like,
Oh,
it's just,
I didn't see that.
but it's just I don't know. I think that there's certain we don't all need to I don't want Star Wars to be just something that everyone has to touch.
No, exactly.
Everyone has to have. Oh yeah, I've got to be part of that because it's Star Wars.
I am surprised that he wasn't in the prequels, considering that I think when they were around, that was when he was really big. Like he was doing maybe because he was too busy doing the Matrix.
Yeah.
But they were really spread out to the Matrix.
They
were
did the second two at the same time,
and then they spread it out. So it's like,
and they would have been because they were all getting shot. Up
They were
in Sydney.
2002 and 3, maybe 3
Yeah,
and 4. It was around there somewhere, I think.
and the Star Warses were getting done then as well.
So,
And they were
episode
spreading
1
out,
was
I think-
99, I think.
yeah,
Wasn't
and I think
it?
the last one was like 2006 or 7.
I think.
because they
Yeah,
took
Revenge was 2006, I think.
the best one of them all.
Hmm.
I mean, the
Of the prequels, I guess.
well, yeah, but it's like comparing a dog turd to another dog turd. It's like with the prequels, it's like which one's less smelly than the other. We could all agree Ewan McGregor's too good for them. He's too good to be in them.
He's that brings those films up a lot.
Yeah.
Hello there.
He does. Dude, just talk for Star Wars brief second. My favorite moment in all of the prequels, just for joke wise, is when he somersaults after hacking off the limbs of Anakin, and he jumps up to the mountain, like the top of the hill, and he's like, "Give up, Anakin! I have the high ground." And he's like, "Does he mean the literal or the
Yeah.
metaphorical high ground?" And we never get an answer to that.
You were very generous
many
using
ways.
hill. It was more like a mound.
It was more like a slope.
He was literally standing on a rock, basically.
Pretty much,
yeah.
That's what here's what the internet looks like in 2021.
Love it.
I love visual representations of the internet
Well,
in old movies.
This
It's
is
so
a pretty
good.
accurate representation of what VR looks like now. I mean, look, he's got the visor.
Got the thing.
I mean, he has gloves. So they don't have. Oh, wait, does
They've
VR
got
have gloves?
controllers.
Okay, well, this is a
Yeah.
few years ahead. They'll have gloves by then. The power gloves. The
Yeah,
epic
The
definitely.
Nintendo
power gloves.
gloves.
This is what the internet looks like. Bartek, did you ever think that? Have you ever had the concept of what the internet would look like in this kind of VR world at all?
Look, Ryan, this was between The Lawnmower Man and The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Lawnmower
Yeah.
Man.
We're gonna do that on the show, Lawnmower Man.
Oh, well, then that'll be the
fucking
trilogy of the three films I just said.
The,
The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle was what it reminded me of, because he literally surfs the web at one point.
I love that your 3 internet movies are Lawnmower Man, this,
Rocky and
Rocky,
Bullwinkle.
The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, wait, Lawnmower Man wasn't even internet, it was just VR, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, was it? But it'll work. No, because at the end of the movie, he tries to connect himself to the World Wide Web and destroy the entire world by phoning people.
It's Diz from
Oh, it is
Starship
so...
Troopers.
I was going to mention
This
that.
whole time I'm like, who is it? Who is it? Who is
Yeah,
it?
Starship Troopers,
Yeah.
one of the best war movies ever made. Quite clearly, a lot of people say, Ryan, that's not a war movie. It's against war. I'm like, aren't most war movies, if not all, against
that's
war?
kind of the point.
Like,
There aren't many pro-war movies.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Patton. a lot of people don't know whether or not that,
Yeah, that's fair
that
enough.
because that's a character piece where it's like, is this taking the piss or being genuine, or who knows what the angle is. That's one where you can go, okay. But Starship Troopers is one of those ones that's like, we read the book, we fucking hated it, fuck you, fascism sucks.
So much satire. It's brilliant.
Yeah. What are the need to know more? Click here.
It is. Oh, I'm still reeling.
I know, right?
It's also weird because she's still alive. I mean, she dies pretty quickly in that movie. In this, she gets to live.
95. What did we say this was?
95.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I think
I
so.
know she held on in Starship Troopers for a while.
She dies like halfway through.
Is it really halfway? I thought it was more than halfway. Anyway,
Maybe a little. I mean, you remember they focus on Denise Richards more in that movie, and then they realize, oh, he actually has someone who's more in love with him, which is just Denise Richards, the one that asks you, Denise Richards, when she was in James Bond, and they're like, is she a scientist? And then,
Sure.
yeah, why not? Why not? You have to be a scientist to marry Charlie
It's
Sheen.
like a nuclear physicist or something.
she was, yeah.
Who's that? I don't think we ever found out who this was. It's like just some guy he talks to. Like in every other situation where he talks to someone on the net, they're a physical person that you see, but this is the only one where they're like that weird embossing effect that you get on Photoshop.
Is this what the other guy's looking at? Like, does Johnny have this embossed face?
Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, who knows? You gotta
Must
ask.
be, yeah.
But I don't think we ever find out who that man is.
Well, didn't Johnny just call him Strike?
Yeah, but do we ever see Strike again?
I guess not, no.
There you go. We nailed it.
Technically, wouldn't he just see Johnny Mnemonic's eyes?
No.
Because he doesn't have anything covering his mouth.
And his
Just
hands.
eyes and gloves.
Yeah.
His eyes and hands.
Floating gloves.
He's like when you're in those old video games where the boss takes their final form and they turn into like a floating head with floating hands, and you have to defeat him.
Zelda did that a lot. Yeah.
That's what Keanu looks like on the internet.
Pretty sure in the Shadow Temple you had to fight a floating
Bongo
head and-
Bongo.
Yeah.
I never played the Zelda.
I'm not in the right crowd here. Yeah.
That's cool.
I was a Crash
Wasn't a
Bandicoot
Zelda
kid.
I was too. Yeah.
I never had a Nintendo.
Did Crash do it? I don't think
I had a PlayStation. That was it. I think I had a Sega at one point as well, but I don't remember. I was pretty young. You guys, I'm gonna ask you this. Since you guys are a bit older than us, and you would have experienced the 90s a bit more than we did, you guys got to live through the era of movies where they thought hacking was going to be one of the biggest, best things
Well,
in
we
the
also...
world, which this is taking into account as well.
Plus, we also lived through the era where they thought faxes were the future.
Oh, yeah.
So-
In Rocky and Bullwinkle, the whole movie hinges on the idea that Bullwinkle has to fax himself to save the day.
Through the internet.
Through the internet, yeah. So you guys got to live through the era of where fax was very, very important.
It's weird, like, because I still remember when CD-ROMs came out and, like, how huge it was and, like, it was just... And, you'd play a computer game and you'd have, like, 7 floppy disks you'd have to run through to
now
install
changed to
it.
disc 3.
Correct, yeah. They're games that you can just stream, like, on Flash on, like, a website now. You needed, like, 10 discs to install and stuff. It was, like, it is. It was very much, like, this is just, it's dead set kind of this type of thing where it's just, like, it's so amazing because it's just visuals you hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And you just lap it up. Like, it's everything that looks... And that's what you got to kind of remember, I think. Like, these are products of their time, and they were very good for their time in terms of how they looked and what they were portraying. And people forget that because, we live in such a world now where...
We're like, well, we've got more than 160 gigabytes on like a hard drive or whatever. Like, a lot of people make fun of this movie because he has to fit 360 gigabytes in his brain, and people are like, it could store a lot more than that.
What we can do now with visuals is insane. Like I was telling Al, I was watching Moana last night.
Oh yeah,
and
that movie's so good.
But the water we thought the water was great when Finding Nemo came out in terms of animation, just how well they did it. But then, like, you look at how Moana did it, and you're like, that looks like real water.
You don't even notice.
No,
you don't
it's
even
insane.
think it's digital. Yeah.
And so we live in such a world now where we're just like almost like we just take it for granted that we can do all this stuff, and then we look back at this and go, how cheesy and crap. But back at the time, this was like, whoa, this is...
It's that thing too with like... I think it's very different with like, you know, stuff like Moana or whatever, where they're full animated movies. Like this was, you guys also had the really experience in the 90s when every movie was like, oh, we can use special effects now instead of practical effects, which we still are suffering through now, but they're slightly better.
But it was also a time when you knew when to use special effects and when not.
Not every movie did.
Yeah, but I think I find that nowadays we rely a lot on you know, special effects and computer generated, whereas back then it was a lot more troubleshooting. I think in terms of trying to figure out what the best way to get the shot was.
If you weren't James Cameron, you didn't know how to use special effects as a director. Like, he was one of the big ones.
So the over-reliance on special effects today is our version of NAS.
Oh my god, which she's suffering from right now only once in the movie. She has the disease and only suffers it once.
This is a very prophetic movie. Everything just comes together, Ryan.
Look at this mise-en-scene here. See how she's lifeless, like the mannequin that's in the frame there.
That was nice juxtaposition.
That was very, very unique. And this, I want to just also point out that this is the director's last movie. He decided to direct no more.
Well, maybe that was a positive thing. He's like, yes,
the sad story. Like, IMDb, sometimes when you read information, you put an emotion to it, even though there is none. And I find tragedy in the fact that William Gibson and the director Robert Longo wanted to make $1.5 million art film, and they couldn't get enough money for that. But instead, they had to make a $30 million action movie. It's like, we couldn't get that $1.5 million. We could only get $30 million. We had to make it.
It's like 20 times more. Or something.
We had to make an action movie instead.
Yeah, 20 times. That's it.
Yeah, we had to make this gigantic, like, big movie instead. We just wanted to make this little art movie. It's like, what a tragedy.
I mean, it's all business now. Like, it's, you know, you're going to get money for something people are going to watch. That's why there are bloody 6 Transformers films.
Well, only...
You know, because people are watching them.
The only, I think, art house director that can get away with still being relevant, well, David Lynch, probably. Like, if David Lynch put out a new movie, it would be a big hit.
Terrence Malick.
I hate Terrence Malick, so go away. And also, his ones have been diminishing returns.
I haven't seen any of them.
Like, do you remember his great film Knight of Cups with Christian Bale? Of course you don't. But if David Lynch put out a movie right now, everyone will go fucking nuts because
there's not a lot of directors now that
the big art house director.
Well, that you just go see because of the director. Like,
you still
I'd say
have
there's
a
like
few.
Christopher Nolan,
Tarantino,
maybe Wes Anderson,
Scorsese.
Yeah, but he doesn't make a lot anymore.
He's been making quite a few. I mean, he made Wolf of Wall Street, and he's doing one right now with Pacino and De Niro and
just to shake it up a bit.
And Pesci. He got Joe Pesci. He got Joe Pesci to come out of retirement, which is a fucking hard thing to do. Can you imagine that skill? Because Joe Pesci's one of those actors who was like, I don't need to do it anymore. I did what I could, and there's nothing more for me to do. It's like, man, what a legend. He's no Ice-T, though.
I was just about to say, just quietly, I'm loving Ice-T right now.
Are we fans of rappers turned actors at all?
For sure.
Which ones
I can't think of many other examples, to be honest. But
Ice Cube?
Ice Cube? Well, no, he's one that everyone likes. Everyone likes him because he's the funny guy. Like, he's funny because he's so serious, like the Friday movies, and he's in the Jump Street movies now. Everyone loves those.
He was in Triple X, The Next Level.
Yes,
this is true. Yeah.
which I've never seen.
And doesn't he make a cameo in the third one?
Yes, he does.
Does he?
Sure.
Don't worry, the whole trilogy is on our list to cover one
it?
day. Of course.
One day.
I love Xander Cage. No, I think I really like Snoop Dogg. We've had a few Snoop Dogg appearances on this show. I'm pretty sure.
2, I believe.
A couple.
Starsky and Hutch.
He was in Training Day.
Yeah,
he was like a drug dealer in Training.
What was
Day.
the other one?
Racing Stripes.
Oh, and Racing Stripes.
See, I can only think he does like a guest spot in Old School, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he comes to the
party.
I think we're skipping over another great rapper turned actor, which is Tone Loc, who was in Surf Ninjas.
Who dressed
Tone
Henry
Loc's in
Rollins
this?
here?
Huh? No. Rapper turned actor.
Oh,
he's just in a black t-shirt.
Oh, Henry wears that all the time. He only wears black.
Yeah. No, but what about the glass?
No, that's what I'm saying. Someone has said, here's what happened.
You're a scientist. We need glasses. I need glasses.
That's exactly it. I bet you he didn't have the glasses on. And Robert Longer's like, great job, Henry. You did a great job. And Dolph Lundgren's there like, oh, Henry, it's so great to see you. And then some executive watched the footage and went, got to reshoot it. Henry's got to wear glasses. And then Dolph had to go from whatever film he was doing.
That's why he was pissed off the whole
and he was
time.
like, great to see you, Henry.
Did all the scientists at the hotel have glasses?
No, but they're not characters. They are extras that you don't see their faces of. You see the back of them.
Henry Rollins of today would not wear those
No, we
glasses.
see all of them.
Oh, do we? Henry Rollins would not wear those glasses.
And they'd have to CGI them on like they took off Henry Cavill's.
mustache. Or have you heard about that new movie called Tag? They had to CGI Jeremy Renner's arms because he broke them in the film. Because that's the movie about
wearing
these.
a cast or something, was he? Or?
No, yeah, because he broke both of his arms, so he couldn't do the stunts of. Because the whole movie's about Tag's that movie about those guys who played tag for 30 years, and he was the one that couldn't get tagged.
Yeah, right.
I just want to point out that this guy's arm hurts when they freeze his robot arm. But then it's okay because I wrote this in my notes. What? It's a robot arm. He wouldn't feel that, would he? But then Dolph Lundgren comes along and says, well, Ryan, I'm going to show you why it hurts in a very graphic moment. And here we go. We're going to be seeing the nice give me the money shot where you see he's got a hand and there's gunk in there. It's a cybernetic hand. It's like so he would feel the pain. It's not just he doesn't have a hand and it's a robot hand like Starship Troopers where everyone has robot limbs or Tank Girl in which everyone has robot limbs.
Luke Skywalker could feel his hand, couldn't he? Because they were
sometimes.
Remember when they were putting it on, the robot was testing his reflexes.
Oh yeah, I don't think he could in the newer one though because his hand is like has nothing on it now for no apparent reason.
Plus, he was incredibly jaded.
Oh, wouldn't you be? Wouldn't you be? I'm Mark Hamill. I didn't get to speak in the last one. I would be incredibly jaded too. This guy's fashion sense is great. I wish I had his fashion sense, little skull earrings and the whole little bellhop bartender outfit. If I could.
Could be the same guy that dressed Sean Connery in Highlander.
He also just looks like.
Here's your peacock feathers, Mr. Connery.
Yes.
I do love the recurring joke in this movie from Henry Rollins, whose character's name's Spider. And throughout my whole entire life, when people said to me, "Why is he called Spider in the movie?" I went, "Oh, because he's got a spider tattoo on his neck." Does not have one at all. He does not. He does not at all. All of his tattoos that he has in this movie, I'm pretty sure are his own. Maybe they've added one or two. I think they've added like one on his arm or whatever. But they're all like his. Like on the back of his neck, he has the black flag tattoo for no apparent reason. Other than, you're not going to get me to cover that up. Fuck you, Robert.
I wouldn't be telling Henry Rollins to cover it. I'm like, you do what you want, man.
Yeah.
Could you wear these glasses, please, sir?
And when he says yes, you're like, oh, thank God.
What?
They give it to the intern to do. They're like, someone has to go and tell Henry Rollins he has to wear these glasses. They're all outside his trailer.
I'm not doing it. I did it last time.
You know, in his
not doing it.
In one of his autobiographies, other people wrote little things in his autobiography. It's like people have seen his dick have said that he has a soup can for a dick. Like that's how thick it is. I'm like, what the? Okay. And Henry, when he hears that, he's like, yeah, what do you want? You want some soup? But my favorite little joke in this movie is John. He asks who Johnny is because a lot of people just go, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Johnny." Johnny what? And one time you hear Johnny Smith, and the other time you hear Johnny Johnson, and which is great. But this time he goes, "Just Johnny." And throughout the rest of the movie, Henry says in that surly voice, "Well, just Johnny, what's happening?" It's like he just keeps doing it again and again and again, and he has this. Henry has one of those hilarious voices, like it's so deadpan serious, but it's got that punk snarkiness to it. So every time he's like, "Just Johnny." When I see Dolph Lundgren, I also drive my van a lot faster over him, and he's fine every time.
He's Dolph Lundgren. You can't, you know.
Are we fans of Dolph Lundgren? Have we seen many of his movies? Because I think this is the only movie with Dolph I've seen.
Oh, really?
I don't think I've seen.
Rocky? Universal Soldier?
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh, is Universal? If he dies, he dies. Is that the?
I must break.
He's the
super soldier.
Whatever
from Russia.
he hits,
other
he
one.
destroys.
The other one.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, who breaks out of his programming, and then there's Dolph Lundgren, who's like...
He was in Expendables, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the Expendables.
I've not seen the second one.
Oh, he's got to be in an Expendables, surely.
But
100%.
I haven't seen him outside of, I guess, those two movies. Rocky 5, isn't it? Where he's in that? 4. Oh, far out. I can't keep up. I like Rocky 3 the best with Mr. T. Where he heckles him outside the court. That's one of the greatest scenes ever. Yo, lady! Was like, yo, woman! And that gets Rocky angry. Like, the whole thing is insulting Rocky. He doesn't do shit. It's like, then he hits on his woman. Oh, that's it! So, Dolph, I haven't seen him in much.
I'm a couple of watches into this, and I'm sitting here watching and going, what the fuck is going on? Like,
well, we haven't even got to the dolphin in the room
it's
yet.
just like, this film is crazy.
Well, the film's about to.
Well, the film is trying to tell us that in the future, technology can be both helpful and harmful. It's one of those classics, stories about do not play God, but also play God, because sometimes it helps you, but also technology's bad, man. It's going to ruin your life, except for it helps us in the end. It saves the day in the end, because at the end of the day, they find out that the thing that Johnny's got in his brain is the cure to this disease.
Yeah, that's right.
And Ice-T, he runs this place called Heaven, because why not?
Yeah.
And that's basically where he shoots out information all over the world, all over the wide web, and he's like, well, we're going to upload it and shoot it to the world. And he puts the camera right on his face, and like all these TV screens has his face on it, and he's like, yo, suckers, we're going to give you the cure right now. And then you wait, and then they have to wait like 5 minutes for it to upload. Like, why would you do?
Uploaded.
Crashes several times.
Hang on, I'll just restart it.
This is a great sequence here too, in which Henry Rollins has to tell him how he can get it out of his brains, but the side effects is like, how you gonna get it out? It's like, I need a cranial screw and some forceps. And it's like, now, it could kill you, but you might live, but you'll lose some of your fine motor skills and you'll have a hard time remembering things every 3 minutes. And Keanu's like, fuck that. I'm out of here. I'd rather die. poor Henry's just like, I'm a doctor. I'm trying to save your life.
You notice, like, these movies, the computer screen always has, like, a rotating brain on it.
Well, he's a
like
doctor. That's why.
So, yeah. Where's my brain's still rotating? Excellent.
Yes. Your brain appears to be rotating at the correct speed. I can do nothing more.
Yes. You're cured, sir.
Well, when you're in the southern hemisphere, it spins this way.
Yeah, that's right. It spins the other way.
And when you're in the northern, it spins that way around.
I'm from the northern hemisphere.
That's why you get jet lag.
Yeah.
Because your brain's readjusting to how it spins. There it is. And I love the camera work for this scene's actually the most energetic, I think, in the movie, where there's lots of pans and zooms and spins around, but they're not one of these ones where it's like, we're doing it just for movement in the scene, because sometimes you have in movies where it's like, in this scene, in Batman v Superman, for example, in this scene, we need Kevin Costner to stack some rocks, because it's really boring if they stood in the snow and talked to each other, so we need some movement in the scene. It adds a lot of suspense. Even though we're not watching this with sound, we can tell by just looking at the visual elements of the scene that this
critical.
Is very intense, and you can understand, like, Keanu's scared. See, that was his scared face. We don't see it. We don't see that. Look at it.
The many faces of Keanu.
It's subtle, but it's in there.
All 4. And then Henry, well, he's just like, dude, I know you're taller than me, but I'm trying to tell you the truth. I need you to listen. I'm a doctor. And Dizzy's just there like, I'm the woman in the movie. Fun fact, I don't know. Fun fact, Keanu and the woman, they only get one kiss, I'm pretty sure. Or do they even get a kiss?
I don't know. I don't remember.
They don't get a kiss at the end. You think they're going to kiss at the end? And they don't. And it reminded me of Pacific Rim. Everyone was like, oh, Pacific Rim. I love the fact that the two leads don't kiss. I'm like, well, Johnny Mnemonic got there in 1995.
You don't love that film.
Yeah.
I don't hear you praising that for feminism. Come on, Johnny was there ahead of the curve. So, Bartek, do you have a favorite character in this? Or a favorite being in this? Because character might be a very strong term for some of these.
I mean, the Street Preacher and Johnny are both fantastic characters. I think
yeah,
you can explore their duo a lot more.
Yeah,
in maybe like a side story,
non-canon side story.
Yeah, well, one of them dies. So.
Maybe a prequel comic, perhaps.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's kind of hard because Johnny doesn't know who he is until this story, but Henry does, and everyone else does. It's kind of weird. Everyone knows him.
Maybe the street preacher performed at one of his birthday parties as a kid, but he doesn't remember.
Yeah. Can we talk about that? Throughout the whole movie, he's like, I sold my memories as a child so I could fit things in my brain for money, and now I want that back. And at the very start of the movie, he's in bed with a woman. And she's like, I'll be back. I've got to get ice. And we never see her again.
And Keanu's the one that finds ice.
Yeah.
Iced tea.
I knew you were going to go there.
I see what you did there.
As we all see when he went with there.
He didn't boil the tea.
But the whole mystery is, what is Johnny's childhood? Who is Johnny? Who is he? Do we find out? No, we care. The audience, because the audience is like, we got to know who he is. When when movies raises that kind of problem, like, you don't know who our main characters, they have weird memories, and it's like, and that's their character. It's kind of like in Blade Runner. It's like, one of the most interesting things is his dreams real, or they replicant dreams? It's like, outside of that, he's just an alcoholic.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is my favorite part in Blade Runner 2.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Well, you know he's...
Sorry.
You know he's in it,
No,
right?
Yeah, I know he's in it, but
Well,
that's
there you go. Just Harrison Hawthorne's a drunkard all the time. Oh, no. It's all good. I'm just saying he's still drunk in that movie all the time.
Are we good?
Yeah, you're all right.
Good.
So back to the Johnny world. What did you think his childhood was going to be, Bartek? Did you think they were actually going to give you an explanation in this? Because I had seen it before, so I knew what his childhood secret was. Did you?
No, honestly, I was very curious to find out.
Any theories while watching it? You were like, oh, maybe Johnny used to be a prostitute as a kid and he just wanted to rip that memory out.
The first question you need to ask is, was Bartek invested in the film?
Of course he was. Look at him.
It's one of the greatest films ever made.
This is not the body language of somebody. Arms crossed, shoes off, staring blankly.
This is my professional podcast mode.
This is an audio base. They only need to hear
like,
how he feels, not
like,
see it.
Oh, it was just oh, so did you think it's like, yes, I was very interested. Hey, were you?
When I do this show, I tend to try to emulate the main character.
Yes, well,
That's my investment.
I really feel like also that these two low-tech characters that drop fiery cars on people and talk about how they still would have sex with women who are disabled were going to be your favorite characters. I wrote that in my notes. I feel like Bartek would like these guys. And or play one of them if he had to choose.
See, don't agree with you, but play, I could do that.
You don't have to like a character to play them.
no.
But I'm saying like as in they're not my favourites.
Oh, of course. I mean, you got Dolph Lundgren in this, and he's...
And Keanu Reeves, yes.
Oh, it's Keanu. But you didn't have any conspiracy theories about his childhood?
I was very curious to see where they were going with it, and I missed the connection with the This says something about my investment. What's the character, the woman that keeps appearing on the...
Ghost in the Machine Lady.
Yeah, Ghost in the Machine
So
Lady.
throughout the whole movie, we keep having this woman's ghost face come up on computer screens and be like, hey, I'm in the movie. And you're like, who the fuck's this? And it's like, I can't remember her name either. I call it Ghost in the Machine because the guy, the Japanese guy that is looking for the cure himself, because his daughter died.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh.
It's sad because she was young.
It's just a lot going on. Like,
it's a lot of emotions
very
going
complicated.
on. Yeah, he's looking for it, and this Ghost in the Machine's like, don't kill Johnny, he's a good guy. And then you find out that she was the head of Pharma Corp, and she died in 2015, and they uploaded her consciousness into the World Wide Web, basically. But now they're deleting her memories one by one by one by one, and you find out that he was her son. And it's kind of like a nice little thing where we don't know why he deleted them. Maybe he got them deleted because he was going to be in charge of the corporation. The corporation grabbed him and wiped
the
his...
ultimate monologue.
Oh, this is an Oscar-winning
Yeah.
monologue. Like, if you have not seen anything of Johnny Mnemonic, at least watch this scene. Watch the "I want my shirt laundered" scene, like the "I want $10,000 hooker" scene, because you can see. This is where I'm going to raise one of the things that I think brought this movie down. This scene.
Oh, look at him.
Look at him.
It's the crazy eyes.
Oh.
Watch this, and you're going to hear what I say, and you're going to be like, okay, why this movie isn't appreciated? And I'm going to say it's Keanu, and I think he's miscast. I think there's an alternative universe in which Nicolas Cage played this role, and this film is one of the most loved films of the 1990s.
I read somewhere that Val Kilmer was going to do it.
And then he chose Batman Forever.
Batman Forever, yeah.
What a great choice. Yeah. What a great choice for him. The Batman that everyone forgets.
That came up the other day. Val Kilmer was going to do something. We weren't talking about this movie, though.
No, Val Kilmer has been cast in a new movie, and people like, how? He's incredibly...
it was like another 90s.
It was something that...
It was like another 90s film.
No, it was the other way. It was someone was going to play Batman.
And Val's like, it's me.
Maybe it was Keanu.
Yeah.
He was going to play Batman, and they swapped.
I could never imagine him playing Batman in my life, Keanu. Like, never, ever.
Hey, could you imagine George Clooney playing Batman?
Yes, at that time, when he was younger. When he was at the peak Clooney.
Bruce Wayne, maybe.
He was a good Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, we've had this discussion.
But did you know until you saw the movie that he wouldn't make a good Batman?
How old?
Because let's not forget, Michael Keaton, he was a weird choice because he was the Mr. Mum guy.
Yeah.
True.
While George Clooney at least did, at that point, From Dusk Till Dawn, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Which showed that he had very strong presence in a menacing way as well. So I feel like George Clooney, out of all the choices, was the one that is actually like, man, that seems like a logical one. That seems like,
and he was
why wouldn't you go there?
Yeah.
He was the best. Yeah.
He was like the biggest name.
And then they screwed him over. In that movie, not the biggest name. You had Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. But he was huge at the time.
Oh, yeah. And then you had Uma Thurman.
Yeah, that's a
My
lot going on
favorite
in that
part
movie.
of that movie is the mad scientist that turns into Poison Ivy, and he plays Lex Luthor's dad in the TV show Smallville. And he has this one great line in that movie. It's like, no one talks about this line. She's like, I'm going to have to turn you in. And he's like, oh, really? Wow, that's so sad because I'm afraid I'm just going to have to let you die. and pushes her into a vat of poisons. Now, this is something I've got to raise up here while they're literally going up in the air.
I'm still reeling at the loss of that Volkswagen Beetle.
Well, that's the thing I wanted to raise.
That Andy Samberg / Marilyn Manson dropped.
It really was. Don't worry.
It was like a hybrid.
That's some good casting.
I have no idea.
Marilyn Manson was a rock star in the 1990s. That got accused. Marilyn Manson was that one that always got accused for reasons why kids shot up schools.
Yeah, I know who he is, but...
And then Andy Samberg, well, he's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And the two goons, low-tech, look exactly like him.
Yeah, one of them just looked like Manson Samberg.
Just
hybrid.
one.
Just
one.
Yeah, the hybrid.
Yeah. The other guy just looked like some other dude.
Mansberg, yeah.
I love how you went with Mansberg. That's what I would go to. This film asks the audience to invest in a lot of things. One of the things that this film hinges on is the idea that Keanu Reeves has a brain that has enough storage capacity to get information to travel around in, and he on purposely uploads too much into his brain to set off a ticking time clock element to the movie. And I feel like that is also one of the things that I don't know if they needed it, because they don't really use that storyline as much as you think they would. Like this idea that his brain is hemorrhaging throughout the movie. They don't do it. They don't really have many consequences to that. I feel like you could just have the fact that he has the secret information and people left and right trying to kill him.
Well, it gives him this overarching sense of, I can't give up or I'll die.
Correct.
So.
It's like you can't just go hide out somewhere.
No, I agree, but it's also like they don't push that threat level high enough. It's like, you in the next 24 hours
there's a kiss. Right
there's
there.
one kiss. And Ice-T's there being like, I got a room for that.
Welcome to heaven.
Oh, guys, you want to meet Jones? Because it's time to meet Jones, the guy from the Navy.
Who's this guy now?
Oh god, the guy from the Navy who has special implants in his brain. Like, he's going to give them all the information that they need. Jones is probably one of the best sci-fi characters that's ever been put in film. I think it's one of those characters that you just go, wow. I don't think anyone else could have played it other than the person they got for Jones. You agree, Bartek?
I agree.
Jones.
That type of person apparently has a really big brain.
Jones is one of these. Yeah. Oh, there he is, Jones.
That's the white eyes again.
oh, Jonesy.
Very floaty character.
Yeah. There's a scene earlier in the movie in which Ice-T hacks into all these TVs when Keanu's walking into the elevator, and he says, like, "Free your brain, zombie boy!" And then later on, he meets Keanu Reeves, and he's like, "I've never seen this guy before." Was Ice-T just saying that in general? Was he saying it to Keanu Reeves specifically? Like I know that you got a brain issue. Free your brain, zombie boy. Or was he just saying that to the world?
Just
like
general populace, yeah.
Free your brain, zombie boy. There's some girls, and they're like, well, I don't have to do nothing then. I'm left out of this equation. So, guys, greatest sci-fi character, Jones.
It's a big call.
It's a dolphin.
It's so odd, isn't it?
It's a
It's
dolphin.
so odd. It's almost like it's so odd that you just kind of go, okay, whatever.
It's a dolphin that
It's
has
a mammal.
attachments to it because it was a military dolphin.
Yeah.
So
It just
of
looks
course,
so bad.
no, it looks great. What are you talking about? Have you seen dolphins before? That looks like one, doesn't it? Like, but with shit on it. Like,
Yeah.
if you had to get a dolphin, like if you were a filmmaker and you're like, okay, guys, Dimas, guys, you gotta make Johnny Mnemonic. But you gotta have a dolphin in there.
Yeah, I'd call it. I'm like, I'll sort the dolphin out.
Yeah, you go get Snowflake from the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was very shocked.
Anyone?
Maybe that's why Snowflake was kidnapped originally. To form as part of this futuristic
Dystopian.
club. Yeah.
I like this shared universe theory.
Yeah,
This is good.
thank you.
This is good. Ace
This
Ventura.
is an Ace Ventura, yeah.
Yeah.
It all works. 90s. What a time to be alive.
Bartek, I was very shocked to learn that the producer of this movie was not John Peters, the legendary producer that always wants to put random shit in movies. You know about him?
Yeah.
How he always wants to put spiders in
Yeah.
movies, and then he had to wait till the Wild Wild West to do it. So
Yeah,
he has a
got
giant
that.
mechanical
He
spider.
wanted it in the Superman movie. Right?
Yeah, and he wanted it, and he
Kevin
wanted
Smith
it in the
story
Batman
goes.
movie as
Yeah.
well with Michael Keaton. He just wanted spiders, and also like in a film that we will cover one day, which is The Witches of Eastwick.
Oh yeah.
He wanted aliens in there.
Yeah.
So one day he rocked up to set with a guy dressed as an alien and told George Miller, "Put him in there."
Put him in.
You know, if he did produce this film, it would explain why
What?
Spider is there, because his name doesn't end in the E, so it'd be like, oh, he was forced in there,
Yeah.
despite the directive.
Robert Longo, we gotta have a spider in there. Henry, you want to play a guy called Spider? Whatever.
Derek's like, can it be spidery? No!
Spidery Man, no. I'm gonna play a guy called Spider. No, I love this little scene here where, okay, a normal movie, these are henchmen, right? You have all these little henchmen, they're snooping around, killing people silently. The bad guys, these henchmen kill the Andy Samberg, Marilyn Manson guy, and he lets go of one of the cars and it drops on this one of those henchmen that we just saw. Now, in a normal movie, the surviving henchman will be like, yeah, there's a dolphin.
It's so hard to get over, isn't it?
There's a
It's
dolphin.
so hard to move on with your life once you've seen
Yeah,
it.
there's a dolphin. In a normal movie, the henchman that lived would look over and be like, "Oh my god, motherfucker!" and like shoot. In this one, it's done like it's these are the two heroes of the story, and one of them's been killed, and
Yeah.
she's like, "James! It's James!" And she grabs a rocket launcher. It's like, "I'll avenge you!" And it's like, is this RoboCop? Because it felt like yeah, a bit RoboCop, where it's like he gets massacred, and you have like the chick there, and she's like, "I don't know whether I should or should not go out there and do something, or I get killed." It felt like that, but it's like these are two random henchmen, and she's the reason that these henchmen don't succeed because she blows their cover because she literally shoots rockets.
Mansberg.
Okay, hey, come on, guys. Come on, guys. We still got the other guy. He's fine. He wanted to have sex with disabled women. And, oh, wait, no, he's not doing okay. Is he going to be fine? Come on, dude, you can... no, he's gone. But thank God he put his hand on...
Oh, no, yeah.
That's another Beetle. Oh, what is this film having
And
against
look,
Beatles?
look at this. Smack on him, and then she's alive, and she's like, "Maroney, no!" It's like, why is it... I love the dramatic acting, because... a normal little extra could have just done it like the bad guy, like, but she's playing it like she's the good guy in her story. Like,
well, yeah, she's
look
right.
at her. She
No
does.
one-
She also reminds me of the chick from RoboCop, if I'm honest. Just like butchy, but not too butchy female, and like armor uniform, just like owning it.
Well, she's just a cop.
She's just a soldier for the corporation. She's not even a cop in this.
Yeah, it's the whole no one thinks about the henchman's family.
Yeah.
Austin Powers did.
Yeah.
Well, that was a few years later, so clearly inspiration.
If Mike Myers was in this, who do you think he would play? I think it would be Jones the Dolphin or the Street Preacher.
Actually, he'd be a pretty good street preacher.
He would do a Dolph Lundgren impression.
That would be even better.
You could do Ralphie.
Oh, he would be great as Ralphie, and he just does his performance from Inglourious Bastards.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, how many movies have you seen that reveal a third act dolphin? You can't say Flipper because he was introduced in the first act.
Yeah, I think
We didn't actually see Snowflake until the very end. Am I correct?
no, you saw training video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's Snowflake from again?
Ace Ventura.
Ventura.
Ah,
Detective.
right. Of course.
Yes.
Of course. How could I forget?
Yeah,
Again,
so
I'm
they
that guy who
yeah.
likes the second Ace Ventura more. I know.
Because like
Shocking.
when Snowflake gets kidnapped, they're like, "This is Snowflake," and they're like, "Come on, Snowflake," and jumping through hoops.
Maybe
and
we
stuff.
should start a Snowflake podcast.
The Weekly Flake?
The Weekly Flake. I like it.
Yeah, I guess
That sounds pretty wrong though. Like,
No, it sounds great. Sometimes, and then you eventually move on to like the food flake, and then you talk about
When we
like
run out of
like
dolphins.
the flake that you put in ice cream, and then like you develop flaky hair, and then like you just keep going as long
it's
as
$1
you
million
can.
idea.
It is invincible.
Copyright Sandham School film.
Now,
And I think there is a reason why we haven't seen too many third act dolphins.
No.
I think it's
Because this one nailed it.
Correct.
Yeah,
It's
like this is the pinnacle
Yeah.
of third act
and
dolphins.
kooky film that it was, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy had in the first act.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
A lot of films say it's you would abide by the rule of Chekhov's dolphin, in which you introduce
Yeah,
a dolphin in the
indeed.
first act, and it must be used in the third act. But this film says, why?
So I'm thinking they get to the lair and then there's this dolphin. Joe Mnemonic. Damn it.
Well, we did learn about Jones earlier, I guess. So.
Yeah, and you hear Henry Rollins in the distance going, already used!
Where are my glasses?
I love the idea of Henry Rollins being in the distance, always just calling you out on ideas that have already existed. Like, okay, I got a crazy idea. What happens if we get the guy who played Batman and turn him into a snowman? Already done it! I was in that movie! He was in that movie too. You remember Jack Frost? The movie that dared to ask if Michael Keaton should be a snowman? Fun fact about that movie, George Clooney was the original choice.
There you go.
Hence the animatronics on the face look
kind
like
of
George
Clooney-ish.
Clooney's face and not at all like Michael Keaton's face.
Clooney-esque.
Hence that movie's unappreciated. You know, that movie coined the best phrase, Snow Dad's better than no dad. Which, yeah,
I actually think this is one of the biggest ranges I've seen Keanu do.
Oh no, I think this is actually one of his more challenging acting roles because he's playing
really going for it.
He's playing unlikable, narcissistic, selfish, but also wounded and afraid.
I've never seen him this kind of loopy either.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This Nick Cagey.
Yes.
See what I mean?
Very
Like,
Nick
if
Cage.
there's an alternative universe in which Nick Cage played this role,
Oh,
and
this would have
is-
been a
and I-
blockbuster.
Yeah, you brought it up before, and I'd like to have seen Keanu Reeves play this role, but just for that monologue scene,
it's Nick
drop
Cage.
in Nick Cage with no explanation.
We can still do it. We got motion capture. We can do it now.
No explanation.
Yeah, just all of a sudden it's Nick
Whatsoever.
Cage.
Because he performs in like that iconic Nicolas Cage scene in A Vampire's Kiss where he's like A, B,
yeah.
C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Like, Nick Cage we have not had on the show either, I don't think. Oh, wait, no, we had him in G-Force.
Oh yeah, he played the mole.
He played an animated mole.
What?
He was also going to be in the Seth Rogen film The Green Hornet as the bad guy. He wanted to play a gangster with a Rastafarian accent.
Wow.
But they decided to go with Christoph Waltz instead.
because he didn't insist on the accent.
He insisted on just being Christoph Waltz, which is menacing and evil. Now, Now, you know what they say, Chekhov's thumb laser. If you introduce a thumb laser in the first act, it must be used in the first act. It must be used in the third act. And look here.
Here he comes.
I do remember when I was a kid watching this, I loved the line of the Japanese guy, the other guy, Shinji, he looks at his thumb that's obviously been cut off and he's replaced it with a laser thumb, and he goes, I've seen you've turned your dishonor into an advantage. And I think that's a great line, just because you don't need any more. You don't need to know why did this guy get his thumb cut off. You know that he's a part of the Yakuza, so he's done something really bad because that's how they punish you.
And also they're all about honor.
And they're all about honor. I did get confused because Laser Thumb, is he Chinese or Japanese? Because they make a point that he cannot...
Japanese.
No, but he can't speak Japanese.
Well, no, his Japanese just sucks, he said.
But why, if he is Japanese?
Well, clearly he doesn't grow up in Japan.
Okay.
He doesn't have a Japanese accent, so, you know.
Yes, he
Where
does have...
Where are we now? Because we're not in Beijing anymore.
We're in Newark.
That's right.
We
So
are...
I cannot like this.
Oh, you want me to specify?
No,
you want me to specify
it's so
more?
hard to keep track.
We're in heaven. That's
that's right. Yeah.
Which is the name of the base.
Heaven Newark.
Heaven Newark. You thought he died because he got shot 5 times in the back, but he's fine. He just has a bit of ketchup on his lip. Wipe that off, man. And thank God that the blood or the bullets didn't ruin the little photo that he had in his jacket pocket.
Well, that's why they're in the zippy. Just in case I got shot in the
That's why
back.
they're in a plastic.
He left the house this morning going, there's a chance I'm going to get shot here.
No, he didn't even do that. You hear the little ghost machine woman being like, should put it in a little zippy bag because you might get shot. And just good idea.
Nah, see, he left it on the bench, and his wife probably put it in a zippy.
Well, he doesn't have a wife. He was a single father, and his daughter died.
Oh, maybe she put it in a zippy
As a ghost.
years ago, and he's just kept it in a zippy.
Now, Dolph Lundgren looks incredibly like Jesus in this.
I'm losing it here.
Dude, we lost it a long time ago. This is...
Dude, come on, guys. It's got Dolph Lundgren as Jesus. Did you ever think that you would ever want to see him as a Jesus lookalike? Look at this. This is...
It's a bit rough, isn't it?
He killed Henry Rollins earlier, which is unfortunate, because he was my favourite character.
With the through the hands thing.
Through
like
the
it was,
stigmata.
Yeah.
You know, reference and crucifixion here. So, the dolphin, they're going to use, because they do set up that he's full of implants, because there's a universe where, you know, cybernetic implants and all that are very prominent. So it's kind of neat how they kill him with this, where the dolphin's using his sonic beam or whatever to rip him apart with his own cybernetic enhancements. It's like, haha.
And look, one of the advantages of watching this with the subtitles on is knowing that the dolphin is squeaking. When the dolphin is squeaking.
Yeah.
Do you want to... I no joke. The squeaking noise... They did not get what a dolphin actually sounds like. They got like, who's the guy who does the dog voice?
Frank Welker?
Frank Welker. It's like if they got Frank Welker to sit off screen and just
The
go...
guy who does the... Frank Welker's Megatron.
I know. I know that, but one of the things he does a lot is...
So you would rather them go, it'd be good if they got Megatron to do it.
That'd be pretty sweet.
But why I said dog noises is because he's renowned in Hollywood too for being that noise that you hear from dogs.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
if they don't get real... Like, if they want expressive dog noises, they get him. Like, if you see a movie...
He's like the gibberish voice actor for, like, everything.
Everything. But so why I say, like... Because it sounds like a person doing a dolphin noise. It's not like real dolphins. It's like... in the background. And it doesn't even use the water effect because he's underwater. So you'd hear, like... but you hear... But they don't even do that because this film's saying he's a cybernetic thing. Maybe he doesn't need to use oxygen anymore.
Ooh.
Maybe this is sonic beamed.
I haven't seen him surface for air yet, so...
No, he does go up and down a bit. He opens his mouth a lot. They have nice little close-up shots of dolphin teeth. How many films can you say have done that? Other than Flipper. Or that one where Morgan Freeman is in charge of dolphins with prosthetic tails.
What's that?
A dolphin tail.
Oh, wow.
You haven't seen that one,
No,
huh?
I haven't seen that.
It's based on a true story.
God.
There you go.
Where Morgan Freeman one day just decided, I'm going to live in an aquarium and fix dolphins.
Good on him.
Cyborg dolphins?
Well, not cyborgs. It's just a prosthetic. You wouldn't say a guy with a prosthetic foot is a cyborg.
It's mechanical, it could be.
Well, it's not.
If they're a pirate with a peg leg, that's not really a cyborg.
Well, no.
but-
No, for then it would have been.
Semantics, really. I mean... yeah.
If it's
Call 'em
sci-fi,
cyborg.
you gotta be semantic. Specific.
Oh, okay.
whatever word I want to say.
Okay, fair enough. So Ice-T went on to have a great acting career. I think he's one of the best. Like
he's in NCIS and stuff now, isn't he? Or
Law and Order SVU.
Law and Order, sorry,
He's
they're
been
all
there
the
since.
same.
Right.
They're all the same.
How dare you? That's the one about rape. That's the one all about the rape cases, SVU. And what I love about Ice-T in that is he's been there, I think, from the very beginning of that show. And there's a joke online about, like, there's whole scenes in which people have done compilations of he's that character that explains to the audience by asking questions of things. So it's like, she was violated through penetrative sex. And he's like, what? Penetrative? What does that mean? And it's like, he stuck his penis in her vagina. It's like, oh my god, why would he do that? It's like, dude, you've been working in the SVU for 18 years. Like, every time, every episode, he's that guy. It's like, you know, it was a B&E. B&E? What's that? Breaking that. It's like, oh god. He's like a cop that doesn't work in that department at all. It's kind of like, I thought I was working in theft. It's like, no, you're working
Every day. VCR's ready.
Oh, yeah.
Asking questions for the audience.
I like how they also call the disease the black shakes as well, which they never fully explain either. It's like, they just got the black shakes. Why?
It's a symptom, I don't know, I guess.
Well, the
racial-
black shakes?
I'm pretty sure it's a racial slur.
I don't know. I think it might be, because this movie does not shy away from that this world is racist as well. Like, Keanu Reeves does have a few lines thrown in there, as do the Japanese people about him being a white guy. So it's like, this isn't like, obviously we know it isn't
It's
a
okay because we're all racists.
No, it's a dystopian world. So it's kind of like, it's not, this isn't Star Trek, right? This isn't utopian, everything's fine, everything's great. Obviously this is a screwed up, dirty, neo-noir, detective-y, awful world where everyone's awful, looking out for number one, and the lesson is, at the end of the day, you can't always look out for number one. Sometimes you gotta look out for your friends. And you don't know. Sometimes your friends live in the internet, and you need to upload yourself into the web using state-of-the-art effects. Look at this.
Wow.
That's what Keanu looks like in the internet. Do you
It's
wanna-
kind of like, see, it works because it's stylized as well. They're
It
not
does
trying
work.
to.
They're
It's not trying to look realistic or anything.
Yeah.
It's not Tron.
Yeah.
Right, where Tron was amazing for its time. It's still kind of interesting now, but you look back at Tron, you're like, we've evolved a lot since Tron came out with effects.
A lot of Tron was practical too.
Yeah, that too.
There
Same
was
with
a lot of like
a lot of them are
neon
like that
sets.
too. It's like in Terminator 2, a lot of the Robert Patrick effects do have practical element because they had an actor who was an amputee. That they used a lot of practical things, like when they smack him with the bar through his shoulder and he splits in half.
Yeah.
Like, that's practical with mixture of CG. It's like the best directors know that you use practical and CG in unison. Hence
Well,
one
they're
of the
just tools.
hence one of the greatest directors who knows how to use visual effects to the point in which you don't even question it is David Fincher. David Fincher uses it all the time and you don't even notice.
He's got a bit of a Earthworm Jim look about him.
He does, doesn't he?
Without the muscles, obviously.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too. Like,
That long,
It was one of the hardest games.
long swept back head.
Yeah.
I liked, I think the people made that game went on to make another one called the Neverhood, which is one I loved. It's just like, all you have to do is point and click and walk around and discover why this world's empty. And it's like, oh, that's terrifying. It's like, why is no one here? I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's all claymation looking and all that. It's like, why is no one here? It's like, I don't want to know.
They're connecting to GoldenEye now.
Well,
I'm invincible.
Boris.
so look how they got VR correct.
What did we watch? What was he? We watched it. Was he in
He's
Spice
in
World?
Spice World.
He was in Spice World, Boris.
Sorry, guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
Alan
sorry.
Cumming?
Yeah.
Yeah. I listened to the episode where you talked about that, and I was like,
great stuff.
yeah, you mentioned that, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of James Bond people in that. Like,
Yeah,
you got Alan Cumming, you got Roger Moore in Spice World. I think there's one or two other ones as well that are like
great.
James Bond reunion tour.
It's a surprisingly great movie.
Spice World, it's on the list. It is great. We all know who our favorite Spice Girl is. We don't need to say it. We all know who it is. It's Ginger Spice, right? You know, she's the one in which she's defined by her hair color and that alone.
That's right.
But like in sci-fi,
That means science fiction.
in science fiction, a lot of the villains are represented through evil industries or companies.
Mm-hmm.
Games, movies, books, shows.
Yeah, it's very much to the theme of dystopian futures.
do you have a favorite evil company or industry that are involved in like sci-fi or movies in general?
Good question.
That is a really good question.
It doesn't have to be movies, it can be games too. Like Aperture Science and the Portal games is pretty cool because they're one of those ones where it's like they didn't mean to be evil, but it just kind of accidentally happened. Or you have like Wayland Yutani.
I was going to say Burke from Wayland Yutani. That was my
Skynet.
go-to.
What about
Cyberdyne.
No. Oh yeah, sorry, that's probably better. What about Oh damn it! This is gonna. You know what? Come back to me.
I'll come back to you, Bartek. You're still mulling it
to come
over.
back to me, but right.
Well, I like that one, Aperture from Portal. There was this TV show called Better Off Ted, in which it's about this guy who works at this company and he's slowly discovering it's an evil company. Like it's got Portia de Rossi in it, and she's like the head of the company,
Yeah,
and
right.
all of the metal chairs are the metal chairs from Demolition Man.
Ooh.
And they're very stylized, so it's
Yeah.
like I really like that show where he's discovering that this place is like this evil corporation. Obviously, for goofy ones, I really love Hank Scorpio in The Simpsons.
That's my favourite episode of The Simpsons.
It's my favorite too. It
Yeah,
has my favorite
so
Homer
good.
joke of all time, which is like him going through all the different hammock places, and he's
Yeah.
like, "They're all on Third. You know what that is?" And he's like, "Yeah, the hammock district."
Yeah.
It's like you knew the whole time.
Yeah.
Did you think that Dolph Lundgren's corpse was gonna fight them because the movie wanted you to think it was? And then Ice-T just says, "Get rid of it. It's a piece of trash."
Into
And
the river.
that's why Dolph was angry. Ice-T just kept calling him trash throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, he read right to the end and then just...
Look at this end
Roll
shot.
with
It's
it.
like Fight Club. Do you think David Fincher saw this and was inspired?
He's like, no one will
I
watch
don't know if
this.
inspired.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe he looked and went, you know what, I can do that better.
Stole it. He stole it. You're right. You got it 100% right. So the film has unfortunately come to an end when we all wanted it to keep
Look,
going.
unfortunate's a strong term.
It is.
Like,
I think it's a very strong term because it evokes a lot of emotions. Stefan, spelled like staff.
Stefan?
Stefan, we know Stefan.
We do.
He's
yeah.
been on the show, but he doesn't spell like Staffan. So, evil corporations before we get into our ratings and reviews? Anyone?
Oh, we never heard yours, Bartos.
Bartek.
Oh, what did I... Oh, sorry.
Bartos.
I'm not Greek, I'm Polish.
That taught you a lesson. So, corporation evil, fun.
I don't know.
You could say Wayland Yutani. They're always a good
I don't know
one.
what that is, though.
From Aliens.
I haven't.
You haven't watched any of Aliens?
I haven't, no.
Get the fuck
okay,
out of
mate.
here. You haven't seen Alien 4 Resurrection?
I've seen Prometheus.
The one Joss Whedon wrote? Well, they're in Prometheus. Well, Yutani is. Or Wayland. I can't remember. One of them's played by Guy Pearce as an old man. And he's like, I want to live forever. And then I get hit over the head with the literal head of Michael Fassbender.
I guess.
I love how Prometheus tries to be this intellectual art film, but then it has moments like Guy gets hit over the head with other guy's head.
Yeah.
So Bartek has none. Did you ever find yours? We never know.
Well, I'm thinking because it wasn't. They did it differently in the movie, but is it Shadaloo from Street
from
Fighter?
Street Fighter. Wasn't that the name of the country?
Yeah, no, it might have been, but I think isn't that
I think it was a company.
M. Bison's...
M.
like-
Bison's like the
Yeah,
ruler?
yeah,
He's
yeah.
like the ruler of Shadaloo, isn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
I guess Shinra from Final Fantasy VII could have been one. For
There
me,
you go.
but-
So the movies,
Well played, Tim.
Told you it was worth waiting.
Well played, Tim.
the movies unfortunately ended, which is sad. We'll go into our ratings and reviews.
Sid, there you go. Sid Mead he was the visual consultant. He did all the work for Blade Runner.
Well, there you go. That's
all the
great.
concept,
I
all the concept
love
work
when
for Blade Runner.
when those concept visual guys can go on, or even cinematography guys can go on to do further projects, and you expand upon them. Like, I think it's the cinematography guy for 2001 went on to make the film Silent Running, or the visual effects guy. But yeah, and that's one of those movies was like, wow, yeah, I can see how that guy came from 2001, and I can see how the guy from Blade Runner came into this. I mean, if you were a director and you were like, if I could get anyone from Blade Runner, I'll just get anyone from Blade Runner to be helping me with my sci-fi movie. It's a rule of thumb. If you
But
can
then to
get
get Sid Mead is that's a big win.
that's a big win. So I'll give my rating and review. I'll start with the review. Johnny is a great film, and a great person as well. At the end of the day, he becomes a good guy. He doesn't get his $10,000 hookers.
Are we talking about mnemonic or English?
Both. And let's chuck in Johnny Howard as well, the former Prime Minister of Australia, and also the actor John Howard. Why not? Let's chuck them all in.
Tucker?
John Tucker as well, and let's throw in his relative Chris Tucker. Why not? Let's chuck all of them in. So this film was particularly great because I think one of the things that I learnt about it was a film for me that grew upon many rewatches. There are films for myself that I feel that with a lot. I feel like pretty much a good portion of Stanley Kubrick's films are like that for me, in which the first time I see them, I'm a bit perplexed or a bit turned off because of the cold tone of them. And I felt this way about this film. It has a very cynical, cold atmosphere to it. It's non-apologetic, and it does have a very punk mentality to it. It is a film that says fuck the system, also fuck you. That's how it feels. Like, it's one of those kind of movies that feels like it has contempt for the audience, but in a good way. It adds to the general atmosphere of the world, of the story, of the aesthetic, of the genres that it's trying to pull. I feel that this movie is unappreciated. I feel like a lot of the sci-fi tech ideas that it was peddling back then are being picked up now and being utilized. Like, I've seen this idea of the guy with like the chip in his head and all of that kind of stuff used in other films after this, and some could say used better or used in different ways, but it is one of these things where this film kind of was, setting up the groundwork for a lot of things. And I feel like Keanu Reeves does a lot of stretching as an actor. I personally think he's a limited-ranged actor. I feel like if you have him talk too much, if he isn't Ted, and you have him as a serious guy, like, I am an FBI agent!
Oh, great line.
I agree.
Great line.
Because it's bad. That's why it's great. It's funny. It's good because it's funny, right? Because he's saying it and he sounds like an idiot. I'm an FBI agent. That's how Keanu works for me. In the John Wick movies, he's great because he doesn't talk very much. And he's good at action. And this movie proves he's good at action because you see him kicking and jumping and punching and shooting and all of that. I wouldn't say this is an action-heavy movie. This is more of a thought-provoking movie. If I had to give this film a rating, which I do have to give this film a rating. I would give it, what can one give this film? It would be Dolph Lundgren's pure annoyance of being there out of Henry Rollins' contempt for Dolph Lundgren being really annoyed being there.
Not even a mention of the dolphin. I thought I was going to get dolphins.
I wanted to...
Dolphins.
Guys, I wanted to leave...
6 cyborg dolphins.
I wanted to leave the dolphin pit open for someone else. I didn't want to start out and be like, guys, I'm taking the dolphin. Because I've talked about the dolphin a lot already. I didn't want to steal the dolphin rights from my dolphin fans.
We've got to find out who's going to bring up Dolphin Lundgren first.
Yeah, we haven't said that yet. Dolphin Lundgren. Oh, great. Who wants to go next? It's a fight to the
We'll
death.
go in a line.
We should give this a San Dimas rating.
Yeah,
right?
give us a San Dimas rating.
I
Explain it first.
Well, San Dimas rating is what we use. This is a subtle, embedded plug.
It's a crossover, so you've got to bring something into it.
Imagine if this was a crossover that I was like, I don't listen to their podcast. It sucks. You only listen to ours. We just let them on because, I don't know, it had Keanu Reeves in it. Fuck.
No, we rate all our films compared to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure that gets 100%. So, look, it was interesting. I'll give you that. The cybernetic dolphin, itself is 10%, really.
Bill and Ted didn't put that in.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think
there's
Bill
probably
and Ted
good
could.
reason why they didn't put that in.
Hold on, the third film will be coming. Maybe they'll put it in that. We don't know.
You never know.
But look, it's low.
Yeah.
Do we want to do this together? Can
we
pull a number? I'm in the
15.
Yeah.
Well, I like this.
Let's go 16.
come on.
16. Yeah.
For the dolphin.
What?
Yeah. Hey, no, you got to remember.
Not a 30 because
Listen.
Dolphin, Keanu Reeves wants hookers, and you got Diz from Starship
But
Troopers.
you got to remember though, this isn't a rating out of 100. This is a rating against Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
This isn't what I personally thought of the film.
if we were going to sit here and say, okay, you held up Johnny Mnemonic and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and we had to choose, how much would we choose Bill and Ted over this? It'd be, 85% more?
Well, come on. What about the idea of watching them both at the same time?
That's just
one on one screen, one on the other.
You know what?
That's a Back to the Future 2 idea.
Good idea.
I think them trying to sandwich Henry Rollins into a doctor's role, and
They did it really well, though.
and
I mean, you didn't hear him perform. He was really good.
yeah, and the slight increase in range in Keanu Reeves
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
with Diz in there for
good measure.
yeah.
But you're right. Like Ryan, you were talking about the, it played with a lot of concepts that are now getting used. Like you're right. For watching it in '95
As a snapshot.
Yeah, this would have been pretty interesting. I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I'd remembered seeing it. But yeah, but right now I'm like, well,
I think I'm happy with 16%.
yeah.
I don't think we need to budge from that.
But you're going to recommend it to everyone? Check it out at least once in your life. You gotta see
Look,
Keanu Reeves stretch himself as an actor.
And I'll probably end up saying, look, there's a guy in there that looks half like Andy Samberg and half like Marilyn Manson.
That's worth.
But it's worth it.
That
and he
and the
gets his
dolphin.
head cut off.
But don't tell them about
don't
the
tell
dolphin.
about the dolphin.
You gotta
yeah.
shock them with the dolphin. Like they've got to come in thinking that there's no dolphin.
Because you want
there's a dolphin.
you
Which
want
we all
someone-
did.
Well, you want someone sitting there for when J-Bone walks him in and goes, here he is, and you just want to be sitting there and go, oh, piss off.
The best part
No, I'm not watching this anymore.
the best part of the whole
You and your
sequence,
dolphin.
I personally think, is they don't just surprise you like, oh yeah, here's a dolphin. They have many establishing shots of the whole entire room, and in the center, you see a tank with a dolphin in it.
Yeah.
Do you ever think, why is that there?
You're looking at the computers and stuff.
You're looking
eh?
at the computers,
Yeah.
you're looking at the people, but to be honest, it is the most lit up part of the room. Like, it is bright and colourful, and there's a dolphin swimming there, and yet it still surprises you when he goes up, here's Jones.
Yeah.
So, you loved it, of course. We all love it.
I mean, obviously, but our system is confining us.
It's
It's
infallible.
It's one of those 90s action movies that has a great premise but just fails to execute it properly.
Maybe you'll
It's
find
just
its
one of
audience.
those ones. There's so many of them.
I think we're in a Keanu Reeves renaissance right now in terms of people appreciating him again, because in between The Matrix and John Wick, it was a bit of a dry
dead
spell.
space.
Like people didn't rush out to see 47 Ronin, and I can't think of many other films he had in between that were really
Well, who's billing his motorbikes? That's
and
where that
selling
got-
cognac. Yeah.
I would like to see a reboot of this, since we're in that
I like
space
that.
and time. Possibly a Chris Nolan.
With Nick Cage.
You know what? I would go
Well,
back and cast Keanu again.
Yeah, but the issue is if you get Christopher Nolan on board, you're gonna get your standard Christopher Nolan smorgasbord of actors
You know who
to choose from.
you know who you'd get as
So
Johnny.
it's Tom Hardy.
Tom
No,
Hardy.
no,
You'll
no,
be
no,
Tom-
no,
yeah.
Tom
no, not at all. He would get the guy. Who's the guy who plays Scarecrow in the?
Ooh, Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy, yeah.
He would get Cillian Murphy, and he would get Tom Hardy as Spider.
Ooh,
Yeah, because he's
good
kind of like the
point.
Mad Max thing.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
he'll be speaking in whatever accent he
So who's-
chooses because it's Tom Hardy.
Who's going to play the dolphin? That's
That's an obvious answer. Her name is Marion Cotillard, and she's already available to play a dolphin. Come on, guys. No, fairness, she would play the Ghost in the Machine. Marion Cotillard.
Yeah,
She would
fair
play
call.
the Ghost in the Machine. And then the dolphin, if you really had to pick a real live actor that Christopher Nolan likes to use.
Voicing the dolphin.
well,
Andy Serkis. He
Yeah,
used
good
him in The
point.
Prestige.
Good point.
well, and you probably get Anne Hathaway to do Diz.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe he would choose
Or what's her
Maggie
name?
Gyllenhaal.
No. The
And then recast. No.
he's used.
Ellen Page.
Oh yeah, he used Ellen Page a couple of times.
Was Ellen Page?
She was in Inception.
She was the
the one
architect.
that was like, I'm new here.
Yeah. Oh, Juno.
Yes,
No,
Juno.
no. I go by character names.
When
most of the time.
I was in a share house with a guy, and he had a real crush on her, Ellen Page, and he told me literally one day he went, "Oh man, I love her," and he said, he was really inappropriate. He said, "If I could have sex with any celebrity, it would be her." Next day, she came out as gay, and he was like, he said, "I wish I didn't say anything.
Must have heard you.
I wish I didn't say anything because that happened because I said it out loud."
What's
And
the,
then, there you go.
Who's the actress from Interstellar?
Anne Hathaway.
No. The one who played Murph.
Oh,
He uses her a bit. What was her name?
Oh, come on, Brian.
Can't think. Was she in? She was in Dunkirk, wasn't she? Are you sure?
Oh, wow.
No, she wasn't.
There weren't many women in.
No, there
How
wasn't.
you guys
That's what I was
figure that out? Bartek, what about you? You have a rating and a review for this?
Well, yeah, this is my show. I have to have one.
Imagine if you said, no, I don't.
Stupid.
I keep it to myself.
I'd rather not say anything.
There
at
was
all.
one time where you asked the audience to figure out what your rating was. You're like, you decide what it is.
Wasn't it that I made a noise and said interpret
Oh,
it?
yeah. You just said my rating is... Interpret what that means.
I did have a review before it, though.
Bartek, hit us with your best shot. One more time, baby.
I watched the film. After I watched the film, I did my research on it, and this allowed me to have a meld of my outlook on it and the outlooks of others. I often struggle with sci-fi films. As much as I love the genre, sometimes I struggle to just wrap my head around everything in it. Like, the film started with an opening crawl, giving you all this information. I mentioned, I was eating, I had to pay attention to that. And I always have this thing where they have the opening crawl of, I read it, I say to myself, yeah, I get it. But then I doubt myself, and I go to reread it, and then things, move on, and I read the next thing that comes up. Sometimes I go back, I'm like, yeah, I did get that. And I don't know, I just get it over myself. And in the lead up to us doing the episode on this film, you kept warning me, or not warning, but telling me like, oh man, we're going to have a fun time with that. We're going to analyze the film and get deep into it.
We did.
Yeah, and I was mentally preparing myself for that because, Bartek, you have to focus. You have to get ready for this episode. You have to talk about why this is the greatest film ever made. And I think one of the greatest things about this film is that I got it. Watching it, I understood everything. There was a bunch of just genius elements to it. For example, there is a scene earlier on in the hotel where he's in the bathroom and a thug comes in. He knocks him out.
Baldy it was.
Baldy, I believe it was, yeah. Not only did he have an action movie one-liner, you just say chill out or whatever.
Yeah.
Badass line. He threw in an insult there. Usually you go one or the other. Two. Brilliant. and that's another thing. Two. Right, hold on, 2. I'm talking about the number 2.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit before that, who does he talk to in the lobby?
Oh, no, I don't know.
Twin girls. 2.
Oh, whoa, this film's got a lot going on.
And as you move on, in that scene, he met 2, twins. He met 2 people. Mm-hmm. He met at least 2 more people throughout the film.
Wow.
Probably more. Probably double what you were expecting. 2.
This is very deep.
Oh,
this is the deepest Bartek's getting.
I know what your rating is.
I was.
It's 2.
This is twice as deep as I've ever gone before.
Yeah.
No. Roger Ebert gave this film 2 out of 4.
Well, he's dead now, so who cares what he thinks, right?
That's one half, and there are 2 halves to a whole.
Yeah.
But no. I mentioned earlier my outlook versus the outlook of the general public, or the cinema viewers that actually talk about it online. And I really understood why this film is unappreciated. Because fuck the people online. I researched this film on IMDb and YouTube, and usually, you know what, Ryan? We have fun with the YouTube comments, don't we?
Yes.
And I have YouTube comments, I have 2 IMDb reviews to bring in. But there were just so... And look, I'm not blaming you for this, Ryan, but there were 2 points in this episode where you brought up something that they just would not shut the fuck up about.
Yeah.
They kept bringing up the, how funny, 80 gigs in his head, that's so little compared to today. They just would not shut the fuck up about it. They just kept going on and on. Everyone thought they were clever, having the same thought. They were not giving the film
A chance.
proper thought.
Exactly. They weren't giving it 80 gigs of thought. That's
a good point.
Which teaches them a lesson. And what was the other thing that they couldn't let go of? You said there was 2.
Well, this is going to be big.
Well, I didn't say there were 2, but because 2 is the theme.
I thought you meant there's literally 2 things they wouldn't let go of that I brought up in the episode.
No, there were 2 times where you were made a joke out of it. Only
fair enough. Yeah, I thought that or the dolphin. They're just like, there's a fucking dolphin in this. I didn't put in Flipper. I don't see Elijah Wood or Jonathan.
There are 2 syllables in dolphin.
Let's not forget, Jonathan Banks is also in Flipper. So
there's a dolphin and dolphin. That's 2. I guess.
There you go. Rating?
If I had to give this film a rating, I would give it a 4 out of 4 because that's 2 times 2.
Love it.
He made you think where he was gonna go with that, and he twisted it
I
on
do
his
not
head.
like easy jokes.
So, guys, Bartek did bring up the fact that on our show we like to hear what other people thought. People online, the average moviegoer that had the ability to go online to YouTube or IMDb. Because, sometimes you have to hear other people's perspectives and kind of like go, okay, that's an interesting way to look at the film. Bartek?
Yeah. When you have reviewers like, Roger Ebert or anyone who gets paid to review...
They're film school people. They're like, oh, well, I can see the mise en scene here is adding up to... But an average person just went, the camera was on.
Obviously, I'm not dehumanizing them, but they're not real. Whereas YouTube and IMDb, that's where you get the real people. And that's what I have for us today. So, the first comment that I brought is, and this one has 2 responses.
Oh, good.
Sacrificing your childhood memories for an 80 gigabyte pen drive sounds too expensive.
Yeah.
Obviously, this was one of the ones that, but I had to include one. And the response was, and if there is a time machine and we can tell these 90s producer that 80 gigabytes is laughable and they need to use terabytes instead, lol. and then the last response was, not if your childhood sucked. See, that person thought about it.
Was that you, Tim? Did you just get on there and do that?
Hey, guys, my childhood sucked. Could I at least replace it with, 80 gigs of space? Well, that's the thing they're not taking into consideration. It's not like his whole brain. They're not removing all of his brain. It's just the childhood. And we don't know how long the childhood they're talking about. Like, 5 to 10? Who knows, right? 80 gigs is not bad. Not bad for just that small percentage of the human brain. It's not like they're like, oh, dude, you got to sacrifice your ability to see as well.
And half of it's stuff you just haven't cleaned up anyway that you don't need in there. It's all
his
third photo you took and you just
know,
haven't edited
that
it.
kid, that red bike that you
one's
all own.
blurry.
Yeah.
I think in psychology, childhood ends at 12.
There you go. Okay, so what else did the internet have to grace us with? Because it's a pleasant place, the internet. It's full of nice things.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I read the next comment.
Oh, good.
Imagine he had an 80 gigabyte of storage in his ass instead of his head, and everyone wants to get that data out.
This is YouTube, isn't it?
John, I know who that is. That's the producer, John Peters. That was his original idea for the movie. He's like, if I can't get a spider in there,
John Peters'
just
ass.
said needs more
it's got to
spiders.
be in his ass.
Well, spiders do have big good booties, yeah. Wasn't a bad film at all. Sometimes I feel like I need to get some shit out of my head too. See?
That was very
relatable.
Getting there.
We're all related to that person, didn't we feel it?
I think this is the first movie trailer I saw when I saw The Mask. The plug in the head shocked my 6-year-old self.
Very similar
Cool.
movies.
That's a nice time capsule.
That really is.
You won't get that time back. Saw the last 30 minutes when I got home from Walmart and channel surfed. It's very, very bad. And bad not in a good way.
Well, I think it's unfair to judge a movie by the last 30 minutes.
That's the best 30 minutes.
Came right into the dolphin.
But,
The dolphin.
It's got cheese. It's got the preacher. It's got a dolphin. Ice-T's cracking one-liners. There's a laser thumb. It's got everything for the movie.
Ryan, that thing I just read there, those 2 sentences. Obviously, YouTube comment, right?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no.
I have so much disrespect for that comment that I refuse to acknowledge that those 2 sentences were actually a 1 out of 10 star review on IMDb.
That was it?
That was an IMDb review. 2 sentences, guy came home, watched the last 30 minutes, didn't like it. I have no respect. I do not put that in the category of the IMDb reviews.
Wow, that's its own thing.
I'd be questioning IMDb more than the...
Yeah, don't they usually have a limit on how much you can write?
Moderation going?
Yeah, that's right.
We've had
They need
IMDb
a better
reviews.
system, Tim.
We've had IMDb reviews where it's like, oh, you have to have like 10 sentences to have a review,
10 lines,
or
yeah.
10 lines or whatever. I'm just going to repeat myself a million times.
Yeah, they literally go like they succinctly show their thoughts and they go, wow, IMDb wants me to have 10 lines, so I guess I'll ramble on. And...
Yeah, but that guy, to the point. And got one more for us?
No, we're up to the actual IMDb reviews, not like
Thank
that
God.
one.
Thank God.
And I brought 2. Now that one I mentioned was a 1 out of 10. The 2 that I have, one is middle of the road, one is 10 out of 10.
Can I ask, I guess, something very important?
If you
When
want.
you guys are going to go see a movie, like Solo or anything new or old, do you look it up online and see what the rating is? And does that ever influence you at all?
No, I even try and avoid trailers now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out of
Doesn't
the
even
big
have to be
blockbuster
new.
ones.
Doesn't even have to be new movies. Like even old movies. Like maybe I want to watch. This Keanu Reeves movie. Oh, how much is the rating on it? Oh, it's only like 5. I don't know.
If I was at home, I'd do that.
Yeah.
Because
I do
if
that.
if I'm going to the cinema, I'm making a specific choice to go to the movie.
And do you?
So no.
Do you? When you do that, which one do you like to look at? IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes or what?
IMDb's my usual.
IMDb's
haunt.
mine too, but it's becoming less reliable because I went there the other day. Zoolander, 6.6 out of 10. No, that's crazy. That's a 10 out of 10 comedy movie. Like I'm not
I didn't know which way you were going to go.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to read you there.
Is
just
that
like,
too high or is that too low?
Do you guys not like? Do you guys not like Zoolander?
It's fine.
It's one of his best
It's
movies.
about a 6.7.
It's fine. Yeah.
No, you guys.
It's definitely not a 10 out of 10 for me.
It is. It's Ben Stiller's best comedy.
Well, that still doesn't mean it's a 10 out of 10.
It's like someone on there gave Dodgeball a higher rating than that movie. That's fucking insane.
But you see, you're just comparing it to other Ben Stiller comedies in a
Yeah.
field of like what 4 or 5.
He has lots.
Yeah,
You got
well-
all the Meet the Parents for.
Wow.
But if you're going
They're the higher rated
IMDb rating, then it's all film.
Yeah, but when Zoolander, you know why Zoolander
I
also.
stand by my comment.
Do you know why Zoolander also has a lower rating? Do you remember
Tell
what
us,
year it
tell
came
us.
out?
2001.
No, that's true.
Oh, it's a
No,
conspiracy.
no. That's actually a fact. Many critics at that time slammed any
Comedies.
comedy that came out in 2001, and Roger Ebert had to apologize to Ben Stiller years later because he was one of the people that said, "Do not watch this movie. It's not the time for comedy."
Oh, God.
And that's why it actually has a significantly lower rating, because if you look at the reviews, most of them are from 2001, where everyone was
Yeah,
like,
right.
9/11 just happened, because it came out 6 days later.
Ooh.
Ouchie.
Imagine what they said about Master of Disguise.
Yeah. Yeah, he really went up after Wayne's World, didn't he?
Apparently,
I
9/11
saw that in the cinema.
Apparently, 9/11 happened as they were filming the Turtle Club scene, so they were solemn while looking like that.
Now hit us with IMDb.
Not turtly enough for the Turtle Club.
Dude, 9/11 just
9/11
happened.
is a turtle.
Dude, dude.
9/11's very not turtle.
Go back to your Al Pacino impression. Okay.
This first review is called, and the title's in a quote, "I want room service."
I remember that line.
It's from the 13th of May, 2006.
Oh, simply.
6 out of 10 is the rating.
Oh, okay, because it was 2006. I see what they did there.
And warning, spoilers.
Guys, if you haven't seen the movie,
I'm good. I'm good.
spoilers.
This mentions a dolphin.
In a nutshell, high-tech semi-cyborg Reeves stores info in his head and takes it around kinda like a mercenary. Provided that he downloads it before it kills him. But when he has info downloaded into his head that could very well save the world, well, he ends up having pretty much everyone and their grandmother coming after him, with his only allies being that sexy, sexually arousing Dina Meyer as a would-be bodyguard woman, and some low-tech gorillas led by Ice-T. That was the first paragraph and first sentence. Not perfect, but engagingly trashy fun. Kind of like a low-budget Matrix. Dolph Lundgren is given second billing on the posters and video boxes, but his part is relatively small, looking like Moses/Gandalf the Grey on steroids. I'm guessing he lucked out and got the second billing on video and posters because he was the only other person other than Keanu Reeves at the time who had anything remotely resembling audience recognition, thanks to his roles in Rocky IV, Masters of the Universe, and Universal Soldier. And his death is most gruesome. Well, if nothing else, rent and watch it for the aforementioned sexy, sexually arousing Dina Meyer.
There you go.
Jesus.
Did you guys find her sexually arousing?
God.
Sexy and sexually arousing.
Because I didn't find her in this movie. If we're talking about Starship Troopers, where she actually gets naked, then fine. But like this one, we only see side boopy, and that's not enough. But for them, it is. And you have another one from IMDb, last one.
Yes, this title is Greatest Film Ever Made.
See, guys, someone else thinks it too.
From the 4th of November, from the 4th of November 2016, 10 out of 10.
Whoa.
Whoa.
This is big. This is big.
You don't... Yeah, this is a big one. It's shorter than the previous one, but it's a big one. 972 BD, in brackets before Dolph.
Oh, God. Oh.
Yep, I'm on board.
Sing it to me, sister.
Yep, this is good. I'm in the world.
The fact that I have to read this is, making me very happy.
Before Dolph, yeah.
God, the second word that's going to come out of my mouth. The galactizi is barren. At the edges of its barrenness is a, this is one word, lightsaber beam wielded by the...
By the what? Bartek, at the edge of the Galactium.
By the mighty Jesus, which is one word, and it's literally spelled Hey and Zeus. God of the Sun.
This review was done by Ice-T, wasn't it?
Or the
you know it was done by Dolph Lundgren. Remember, he's a genius.
Didn't he just call it Galactizi?
I'll start it again.
Yeah.
Give us another read through, Bartek. We really are engaged in this modern day philosopher.
Yeah, I want to get through this whole thing in one.
Let's do it.
Read. 972 BD, which is before Dolph. The Galactizi is barren. At the edges of its barrenness is a lightsaber beam wielded by the mighty Jesus, God of the Sun. Oh, Sun S-O-N, by the way.
Oh, good.
Or the fissionists would have you believe. It's really just a Dolph delivery machine, our world. And so into it is Dolph, and from Dolph begat Jonay Mnemonic. The film also features Neo and Morphine, but it's really Dolph's show. By the way, there are kangaroo people in this, so look out for them. They have pouches. Threven/Uno.
Wow.
You know what? They reviewed Johnny Mnemonic, Tank
Changed the channel
Girl,
halfway.
and The Matrix all in one review.
Fantastic.
So Ryan,
If we find that review on The Matrix thing as well, it
no,
would make
you
sense.
won't find it, Ryan, because I looked up this user. He only reviews Dolph Lundgren films. They are all as nonsensical in that, and they're all just about Dolph Lundgren.
That's spectacular.
Yeah, before I gave Dolph a bit of flack because I hadn't watched many of his movies, not a fan, and I said he was
Which
cranky.
made me giggle
But there's one
just
person
wait.
out there, his name's Dolph Lundgren, who really loves
So
Dolph
good.
Lundgren. So that's it. That's the movie covered. We talked about Johnny, and I think we nailed it. The internet agrees. It's the perfect movie. It's got Dolph Lundgren in it. Before Dolph.
Well, I didn't see Spit and Polish in the internet movie.
No, I didn't either. So you guys at home have been fantastic, amazing, wonderful listening people as always. It's great to have you guys on the
Thanks for
San
having us.
Yeah,
Dimas
thanks for having
boys.
us.
Do you like to have a nickname as the podcast, like the San Dimas boys or the Sandys?
Well, no. No to that second one.
Yeah, what? That's exactly what I'm going to call
Oh,
you.
God.
So, guys,
Or maybe a
we were joined by
acronym?
the Sandys.
Sidisov.
The San Dimas lads we've had a few times.
Lads.
I don't know. Whatever.
Do you like being a lad?
STSF guys?
SDFF.
We get just San Dimas.
San Dimas, yeah.
Yeah, because, well, I'm going to call you the Sandys.
It's a big name, so,
When we eventually come on your show and we do whatever movie and I just come on and be like, hey, Sandys, and you're
Yeah.
like, kill me now.
But then we'd be, what would we be, Spitties?
Spitters. Hey, Spitters. It was great to have you on. I know that you guys, how regularly do you guys upload? Is there kind of schedule-y thing? Do you go
we're up
once a week or
we're up fortnightly.
Fortnightly?
Yeah, Monday mornings. You'll get us.
Yeah,
every other week.
And you're on iTunes, I imagine.
Yeah, we're
all
on-
all that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think we're not on Spotify. If you're looking for us on Spotify,
I know. We only just got on Spotify.
we're
It takes
working on
ages.
Does it?
You guys are on SoundCloud, I know as well. That's where I listen
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
but just on all your
And we
whatever
also have that
podcatcher you're using.
Spanish site or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, there's like one Spanish streaming site that gets any podcast and just streams it for Spanish listeners, but it's all in English because we're English. But yeah.
Cool.
Is that what you listened?
Yeah, just-
I know, Bartek. He's like, I only listen to Sandy's on the Spanish streaming site.
That's
I
where we
want to
sound
make
our
it
best.
extra difficult.
We
Is there,
sound muy good.
That site's bullshit because it doesn't have our first 24 episodes.
Fair enough. Do you guys, for newcomers, do you ever recommend an episode to start with, or just from the very
We've
beginning?
never been asked that.
No.
Because I often think about that when I say to my friends, "Hey, you want to listen to us? Listen," because our first episode's "Big Fat Liar" with Paul Giamatti, and that's always a great way to start. So, do you have one that stands out for you guys? having...
Look, we've had a few favourites, so stuff keeps coming back.
The Highlander one was good.
I liked your Zohan.
Zohan
That was the first.
bananas.
That was the first one I listened to because I was expecting a very divided. I was expecting a lot of anger and annoyance, but it seemed like more like some of us didn't like it, and some of us thought, "Hey, it was funny if it was a sketch."
Yeah. It was just a lot of defeated.
Revolver's a good one of yours.
Yeah.
Because
it's 3 against 1.
Who liked Revolver?
Julian.
Nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, Julian.
Julian.
Because that was one of my favorites because it's like everyone hates it except for one person.
He
like,
still
I will
defends
defend
it.
it. Yeah. I've seen Revolver and I don't like it either, but
you know what?
It's no rock and roller.
When you were mentioning before about, do you have a movie that you have watched to try and love? Julian's like that with Revolver, but he kind of loves it. But it's more like he wants to understand
yeah.
But it's so poorly made that he'll probably never understand it. But he doesn't quite understand that he'll never understand it.
I love that there's a random animated bit in that.
It's just sad. Yeah. It's like we're watching a downward spiral. And we don't know how to stop it. It's like he's got a drug problem, and we need an intervention.
Yeah. So, yeah, you guys at home, you can find them. San Dimas School of Film. I'm so terrible with podcast names. I kept saying to Bartek, like, "Oh, have you checked out San Dimas Film School yet?" And I'm like,
"Why didn't you remember that?"
That's what we are on Twitter. So we're SDFS Pod on Twitter. Sure. We're at San Dimas Film on. I don't know why we're on Instagram, but we're on there. And
yeah, I made a joke last week about Instagram. I'm like, we're a fucking podcast. We're not doing Instagram. Yeah. Fuck you.
And San Dimas Film at gmail.com. But I mean, Facebook's the easiest way to get in touch with us. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Of course, we're all, Spin Polish Presents. We're on all of those things too. Not Instagram. We are on Spotify though. So take that, Sandies.
Yeah.
And the Spanish site.
You can look us up on everything. Since we're an Australian podcast, Australia doesn't allow us to be on Google Play unless you're really tricky, which I am. So you can listen to us on there if you're an international listener.
There you go.
We're on everything as well: Facebook, Twitter, all of that. Spit and Polish Presents. You'll
at Spit Polish Pre.
Yeah,
because we can't fit presents. I guess.
Yeah, on Twitter. We're not very pro with Twitter, but Facebook is where we're very good at too. So. If you ever want to suggest an unappreciated masterpiece, which we've been getting a few suggestions of, some of them I'm like, no, those are appreciated. Do not come at me by saying do Trading Places. Everyone loves Trading Places. Now, if you came to me and said, do that other one with Eddie Murphy, you know the one, Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps. We'll do that.
The Clumps.
Meet the Clumps or whatever.
I haven't even heard of that.
Oh, well, the Nutty Professor's great.
Well, I know the Nutty Professor.
Nutty Professor 2 is even better because it focuses on the Clumps. His family.
All right.
At the end, I'm pretty sure the mother multiplies. So focus on that. Guys, at some point we'll have you guys on again, or the other two
that'd be great.
on again. I don't know if it will be a Keanu movie necessarily, because I don't know. He's done every movie is pretty appreciated of his. Maybe not The Last Buddha, Little Buddha, or The Lake House, but maybe one of those.
Yeah, honestly, I think this one was one of his lower rated Roger Ebert reviews.
Roger loved him. Yeah. He was like, he's my favorite actor.
What about
reaction?
What about Alex Winters? We could delve into his catalogue and see some.
Oh, the other one,
Bill.
Other one from Bill and Ted.
Bill, yeah.
The other one.
Didn't he go into directing more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Director, producer. He's doing
I think he's directed one or two movies I've actually seen and liked. I can't remember, but you guys, as always, have been fantastic, amazing listening people. Until next time, do remember to be Dolph Lundgren to one another, and also be kind. Unlike Dolph Lundgren, apparently, who's very mean, according to the hot take artist himself, Henry Rollins, who, as we all know, is a guy that personifies happiness and niceties. So if he says Dolph is mean, you know he's telling the truth. Until then, well, keep on going.